My House of Horrors chapter 1061 to 1080. Nurse Yu thought about it and turned to look at the deepest room several times. Finally, she told Chen Ge about the strange things that had happened to Yu Jian. Yu Jian hasn't seen his father since he was young. It was me who brought him up. The boy was very obedient and never made me worry. Furthermore, I was usually busy with work, so he often stayed at home alone. I don't know when it started, but he refused to communicate with me. I felt guilty, so I bought him many things and encouraged him to play with other children. The first incident happened when he was 7. I was at work when I got a call from my neighbor, saying that Yu Jian had gotten into a fight with the neighbor's kid and almost poked the kid's eye out. I was so angry at the time. After I returned home, I hit Yu Jian, but I realized that when I hit the boy, he kept looking at me with that scary gaze. He was crying, but he did not make a fuss. He did not make any loud noises and did not beg for mercy. He only looked at me with that gaze like he was asking me why I did that. More and more things happened. The boy seemed to hate communicating with others. Whenever he saw other children, he would change into a different person and try to ruin their happiness. After school, he tried to restrain himself, but no one was willing to be his friend. His personality became more and more violent and solitary. He spoke less than 5 sentences to me every day. When he was in middle school, he basically stopped talking to me. In fact, whenever he saw me, his eyes would fill with irritation. At this point, Nurse Yu's voice choked. She felt like she had failed as a mother. Your son is violent and solitary. When he fights, he tries to blind others. It's like he hates everyone, including you. Chen Ge frowned. He felt like Yu Jian and the ghost fetus were made from the same mold. Other people's happiness would make them angry, and when they saw other people's happiness, they would be reminded of their own pain. This kind of mentality was hard to understand, but it was there. It was like 2 children seeing a beautiful butterfly at the same time. One of them was shocked by the beauty of the butterfly and praised it loudly while the other reached out to tear the butterfly's wings apart. Chen Ge had no idea when the ghost fetus had found Yu Jian. From the various decorations at the old city, Yu Jian was probably the child who was the most compatible with the ghost fetus because the ghost fetus had probably attached itself to Yu Jian's body and completed the curse at the old city's rental. In other words, there was a high chance that the ghost fetus was still hiding in Yu Jian's body. After Yu Jian entered junior high, that was the darkest period for my family. He refused to talk to me, and he seemed to be doing something alone. I hit him, I scolded him, but he didn't fight back. He just looked at me coldly. That kind of look didn't look like he was looking at his own family. Maybe from that moment on, he stopped treating me as family. It was also from then on that Yu Jian started to stay out at night and run away from home. To find him, I ran all over Zhujiang. He probably hated me from the bottom of his heart. No matter how many times I went to look for him, he would always leave. During that period of time, he got into a lot of trouble, and some of them even alerted the police. After junior high, he started to stay out at night again. I knew that I couldn't continue like that, so I contacted a very strict private high school and spent a lot of money to send him there. After moving to a new environment, Yu Jian's condition did improve, and I regained hope in life. But that only lasted for a few months before the school told me to go to the school to get him back. The parents of the other children in his class joined together to ask for Yu Jian to leave the school. At the time, I had no idea what was going on. Yu Jian didn't tell me anything. After that, I found out from the headmaster. The students all said that Yu Jian was mentally ill. They kept exaggerating his strange behavior. Of everyone, only Yu Jian's homeroom teacher spoke up for him. I spent a lot of money and a lot of time. I tried everything I could think of, and finally, I managed to convince the school to let Yu Jian stay. But the good times did not last. In the second year of high school, Yu Jian's homeroom teacher resigned for some reason, and that afternoon, Yu Jian also left the school. He went home and locked himself in his room, completely sealing himself off. I only found out the reason when I went to the school to help him with his suspension. The homeroom teacher was the only person who treated Yu Jian well, but rumors started to spread at the school that the female teacher was seducing the students. Some of the parents started to make a fuss, and in the end, the teacher was forced to resign. Nurse Yu looked at the closed bedroom door, and after a long time, she said, "When I found out the reason, I was not angry, but I felt very tired. I stopped struggling and accepted my fate. I admitted that Yu Jian was different from a normal child, and I stopped trying to force him to be like a normal child." After he left the school, has he been staying at home? Chen Ge memorized everything that Nurse Yu said. These things might come in handy behind the door. At least every time I came home, he stayed in his room, so I don't think he has anything to do with the murder. I understand the basic situation now. Chen Ge stood up and walked toward the bedroom. Do you have the key? I want to see him. Quote. That's not a problem, but I hope you won't say anything too extreme. Nurse Yu took out a set of keys from her bag. She had been carrying the spare key to Yu Jian's bedroom with her. The two came to the bedroom, and Nurse Yu opened the door. When the door was pushed open a sliver, Chen Ge smelled a horrible stench. He instinctively covered his mouth and nose. But Nurse Yu next to him did not seem to smell the stench at all. So far, this is the most horrible stench that I've ever smelled in the world outside the door. Chen Ge used yin-yang vision to look into the bedroom. Different from what he expected, there was no trash or discarded clothes inside the room, only a large amount of used paper. The floor, the table, and the bed were littered with papers. They were filled with broken words, and most of them were illegible. Standing in the middle of this pile of papers was a barefooted man. He was not wearing anything, and he was as thin as a stick. Seeing someone walk in, the man still did not react. He raised his hands that only had two thin layers of skin left, and he was writing something on a blank piece of paper. I'm sorry. Nurse Yu seemed to be used to this. She picked up the blanket from the ground and covered the man with it. It was not until then that the man finally reacted. His murky eyes moved toward the door. After glancing at Chen Ge, he continued to draw on the paper. Don't step on his paper. This was what Chen Ge told the nurse. Can you go out for a moment? I have some questions that I need to ask him alone. I can't let you be alone with him. This child's mentality is fragile. Any of your harsh words might affect him. Nurse Yu rejected him without hesitation. It was clear that even though Yu Jian had become like this, she still loved Yu Jian deeply. She wanted to spread her wings to protect Yu Jian. Chen Ge's original plan was to summon the red specter behind Yu Jian after Nurse Yu left and perform an examination on him. Unfortunately, Nurse Yu refused to leave, and Chen Ge did not want to expose Zhang Yi's power, so he gave up. He picked up a random piece of paper from the ground. The sentences written on it did not make any sense. To understand the content, he had to guess. He gave her the present because of love. The rose is red, and so is the blood. The rose pricked her neck, and the blood flowed out. She hugged the child because of love. She hugged him tightly because she did not want him to leave. I was once strangled, and I could not breathe. My fingers dug into the muddy water. Perhaps I have had that as well. No, I must have. The content on each piece of paper was different. Chen Ge read several pages and realized that it was a story made up of many parts. It recorded the growth of a child. Of course, that was just Chen Ge's interpretation. If he used the original sentence on the paper to describe it, it would be like a seed that fell on a grave, rooted into the body, and bloomed. The man used such a sentence to describe himself. He did not look like a human. He was immersed in his own mind and did not fit in with the world. He was like a living monster. No matter what Chen Ge said, he showed no intention of answering. He continued to write on the paper. With every stroke, he seemed to become thinner. The room was quiet. Chen Ge had given up on the conversation. He picked up the papers from the ground and started to read them. His eyes were filled with curiosity like he was the man's loyal reader. One was writing, and the other was reading. Nurse Yu became the person with the least amount of work to do. I've got the gist of it. Chen Ge arranged the papers that he had finished and placed them neatly together. It's a good story, but unfortunately, the main character is a living person. Placing the stack of papers on the table, Chen Ge flipped through the comic in his backpack and left the bedroom with Nurse Yu. When he closed the door, he dropped his backpack and walked to the living room with Nurse Yu empty-handed. This is my son's situation. He has not left home for a long time, so he will not be involved in a murder case. If you insist, I'll have to call the police. Quote. Before high school, Yu Jian was a complete jerk. He was hostile to other people's happiness, and he didn't know how to return kindness. His biggest change was in the second year of high school. After he dropped out of school, he locked himself in his room and stopped going out to hurt others. As Yu Jian's mother, have you ever wondered why? Chen Ge sat before Nurse Yu. His eyes stared at the muddy tea on the table. He is trying his best to change himself. He wants to be a good boy, but no one gives him the chance. Everyone bullies him, and that is why he has broken down. Nurse Yu's explanation was very one-sided. She was only defending her son. A person with a demon living in his heart will not break down because of bullying. Something special must have happened to him that made him see the world in a new light. Chen Ge leaned against the back of the sofa. Yu Jian's class teacher is the only person who has helped him. After Yu Jian's accident, have you gone to find her? After the teacher resigned, she left Zhujiang. I have no idea where she has gone. If you have the time to find a psychiatrist, why don't you go and talk to the teacher? Chen Ge gave his suggestion, but Nurse Yu's reaction was strange. She did not seem to want to talk about the teacher. The truth is right there, and you cannot avoid it. The deeper you hide it, the scarier the wound will be when it's exposed. Chen Ge stood up. This is my number. I will come back tonight. I hope you will think about it. If Yu Jian's illness drags on, his life will be ruined. Walking to the door of Yu Jian's room, Chen Ge picked up his backpack. He stood at the door for a long time before turning to leave without saying a word. Walking out of the residential area, Chen Ge stood at a spot where the sun did not reach. He summoned Meng Nan. Did you guys discover anything earlier? There are a lot of curses lingering on the man. The reason why he became like that is because he has been cursed too much. Meng Nan's first words gave Chen Ge a surprise. In other words, the ghost fetus once existed in his body. Yes. Can you ask Zhang Yi, what are the chances that the ghost fetus is still hiding in Yu Jian? Chen Ge was excited. Yu Jian's personality was similar to the ghost fetus, so he was the ghost fetus, best choice. I can't tell, but the ghost fetus and Yu Jian seemed to have a disagreement about something, and that is why Yu Jian locked himself up. Meng Nan was relaying Zhang Yi's words. He is resisting the curse that the ghost fetus left in his body. Yu Jian started to change because of his homeroom teacher. His homeroom teacher must know about that, but I don't have time to go to another city to find her. After leaving Yu Jian's home, Chen Ge went to the police station. With Li Zheng's help, he met up with Zhen Zhen. The boy was recovering well. He still did not have the concept of death in his mind. He just thought that his mother was sleeping, so he would often ask the police when his mother would wake up. The boy was very cute. Everyone at the police station liked him, and when they asked for evidence, they would give him candy and snacks. Based on Zhen Zhen's appearance, one could not connect him to the ghost fetus. Now that Zhang Long, Bei Yi, and Zhen Shang were dead, and his mentally ill mother was in a coma, other than the ghost fetus, the only person who knew about Zhen Zhen's past was Chen Ge. But Chen Ge did not plan to share this secret with anyone else. He hoped that the boy could grow up healthily. After asking Zhen Zhen some questions, Chen Ge asked the police to help investigate the boy with the heart problem. He even said many bad things about the non-smilers before the police, reminding them to pay close attention to the monsters who always had a smile on their face. The police's help saved Chen Ge a lot of time, so he could focus on Yu Jian. After visiting the school and some of his classmates, Chen Ge realized that Yu Jian's problem was much more serious than his mother had described. The police also had a record of Yu Jian. Before high school, the man was already a madman with a high IQ. He was filled with resentment and malice. After preparing, Chen Ge went to Yu Jian's home again that night. Yu Jian's house was no different from when he arrived in the morning. The room was filled with a stench that only Chen Ge could smell. There were 2 sets of cutlery and cold food on the dining table. To further convince Nurse Yu, Chen Ge took out the information that he had prepared. It included Yu Jian's record at the police station. The police will come tomorrow. Tonight, I wish to perform a simple treatment on Yu Jian. You can stand outside the door and watch, but please do not cause any trouble. Chen Ge only had 4 nights left. He had to solve Yu Jian's problem that night. Okay. Nurse Yu nodded. Her eyes were filled with worry. Will the police come tomorrow to take Eugene away? His body can't handle the torture. I'm afraid something might happen to him on the way. Quote. Don't worry, the police will be more thorough than you. Chen Ge glanced at the bedroom. The plates on the floor had not been touched. Eugene had not come out from the room. At midnight, after he falls asleep, the treatment will start. Why so late? Nurse Yu had only met Chen Ge for less than 24 hours. Even though she did not think Chen Ge would lie to her, it was impossible for her to trust a stranger so completely. Because I can only start the treatment after he falls asleep. To ensure that Eugene could have a good night's sleep, Chen Ge had prepared a bottle of sleeping pills in his backpack. They chatted until 11:30 p.m. Chen Ge borrowed the key from Nurse Yu. He walked to Eugene's door and stopped. Aren't you going in? Stay quiet. Chen Ge took out the comic from his backpack and summoned Meng Nan. He had Meng Nan enter the room to investigate. After receiving the hint from Meng Nan, he sighed in relief. Eugene was already asleep. Now, he only needed to wait until midnight. Eugene was the most similar to the ghost fetus, and he was the only child who had voluntarily accepted the ghost fetus. He should be the ghost fetus, best choice. To Chen Ge's confusion, they had fallen out in the end. What Fang Yu lacked was her memory, and what the other children lacked was their sense of smell, hearing, and so on. Their deficiencies could be seen at a glance, but Eugene was different. From the looks of it, this child did not have any physical defect. The thing that was taken away from him by the ghost fetus should be something more important to a human being. Perhaps it was some kind of emotion, perhaps it was humanity, or perhaps it was love. At midnight, Chen Ge opened the bedroom door and saw Eugene leaning against the corner of the wall with a thin blanket draped over him. His head was lowered, and beside his bed stood a blood-red door. This door was almost completely occupied by blood vessels. Thick blood vessels surged on the door as if they were alive. It felt even more terrifying than a real blood door. What is that? Nurse Yu yelled. Although her voice was very low, it still disturbed Eugene. Chen Ge did not hesitate. He knew that the door might disappear when Eugene woke up, so he rushed over. Carrying his backpack, he pushed open the blood door with the rest of the red specters. The viscous blood wrapped around him. It felt like he had tripped and fallen into a pool of blood. Chen Ge could not breathe. His hands struggled, and his body felt like it was falling. He could not open his eyes. In the darkness, there was the sound of pages flipping. It felt like many things were crawling on his body. He could not see what they were. They appeared to be blood droplets that had frozen into ice. In the end, they all gathered behind him. Why have you come to find me? A strange voice echoed in his ears. Chen Ge felt a pair of hands holding his shoulders. The feeling of falling slowly disappeared, and his eyes flew open. Who are you? He screamed. The surroundings were very quiet, and the atmosphere was rather strange. His eyes slowly focused. Chen Ge looked around and realized that he was standing at the entrance of a school's equipment room. Behind him was the pure black iron door of the equipment room, and there were many students looking at him in shock. Another school. Chen Ge frowned. He reached his hand into his backpack and stared at the students around him cautiously. If anyone dared to touch him, he would fight back immediately. Chen Ge, what are you doing? A round-faced fatty was hugging a stack of homework in the corridor. He looked at Chen Ge with a speechless expression. Other people are only late for a few minutes, but you're late for an entire class. You sure are something. You know my name. Chen Ge slowly realized that something was wrong. He was very familiar with the layout of the corridor and his surroundings. This was where he used to go to school, and the round-faced fatty was his math class representative. The school could be the same as me. Eugene went to the same school as me, but how could his classmates be the same? Could this not be Eugene's memory? Could this be my own memory? Quote. Many of the students who passed by were unfamiliar to him, and he had no recollection of them. The situation was rather complicated. Chen Ge did not dare let his guard down. He stood where he was and tried to call out the names of all the red specters. Only Shu Yin gave him an extremely weak response. For some reason, this world behind the door was more stable than the real world behind the door. It rejected all red specters. They could not leave their possessions, and they could not even communicate. This is a big problem. Yu Jian's world behind the door was very stable. It could hide a demon god in hibernation. My luck can't be that good, right? There are 9 doors in total, and I've only entered the 5th door, and I've already found the ghost fetus. Chen Ge's emotions were hard to describe. He was happy but also worried. If I knew this, I would have gone to convince the tunnel lady's son and the coffin village's red specter. The bell rang, and the students returned to their classrooms. Only Chen Ge stood where he was. Aren't you going to class? I heard there's a new teacher coming today. Are you going to teach her a lesson? The round-faced fatty was talkative, but he was a good person. In Chen Ge's memory, even though they were not friends, he had helped him copy his homework before. I'll go back now. Chen Ge did not dare let his guard down. He carried his backpack and returned to the classroom. Looking at the familiar scene, the memory in Chen Ge's mind was awakened. This is my classroom during my first year of high school. Sitting in his seat, Chen Ge looked out the window. The sky was covered in dark clouds, and there was not a single ray of sunlight. The school was not big, and it was surrounded by old buildings. Liwan City. Staring out the window, Chen Ge realized that the scenario behind the door was very big, and the key was that all the buildings appeared to be woven from his own memory. Why would something like this happen? Shouldn't the world behind the door be the door pusher's experience? Is this a trap set by the ghost fetus? Chen Ge's fists tightened, and his brain spun to come up with all the possibilities. Miss Li is going on maternity leave. This will be your new English teacher. Everyone, give her a warm welcome. A middle-aged man's voice came from the front door. Then came the sound of footsteps, and a young woman in a black suit walked up to the podium. Her long black hair fell over her shoulders. She had on light makeup, and her dress was low-key. When she smiled, she was very friendly like a gentle breeze. Good morning, everyone. I am your new English teacher. My name is Zhang Ya. Chen Ge could not remember what the female teacher said after that. When he heard this name, he was stunned. Slowly lifting his head to look at the podium, Chen Ge did not even know how he managed to stand up from his seat. Hey, it's you, why are you standing there? Sit down. The middle-aged man glared at Chen Ge, but Chen Ge did not respond. He coughed twice, and only then did Chen Ge recover and return to his seat. Brother, what are you doing? The round-faced boy asked Chen Ge secretly, but Chen Ge did not answer. His eyes were glued to Zhang Ya. Western Zhujiang Private Academy was closed 6 years ago. Zhang Ya passed away 1 year before the school closed. Now that I think about the time, if not for that incident, the 25-year-old girl would look like this. Quote. Being stared at by Chen Ge, the female teacher on the podium smiled at him before turning to look at the other students. Taking a deep breath, Chen Ge forced himself to calm down. He hid his backpack under the table and opened it to inspect the items inside. Nothing had changed except for Zhang Ya's bedtime story that ran out from the hidden compartment and sat on top of everything else. After the middle-aged man left, Zhang Ya started her first class. Chen Ge, who sat by the wall, silently flipped open Zhang Ya's bedtime story. The red cover was filled with empty pages. All the bloody and scary stories had disappeared. The words written in blood had disappeared like they were never there in the first place. When I entered Fang Yu's world behind the door, the words on the book seemed to have disappeared as well. What is the real purpose of this book? Why do all the bloody words disappear every time I enter the world behind the door? Where did they go? Quote. When I pushed open the door, I felt like I had fallen into a sea of blood. I almost suffocated to death. Thankfully, a pair of hands grabbed me. I remember hearing an unfamiliar man's voice. It sounded like he was asking me why I came here to find him. Was the owner of that voice Yu Jian? Chen Ge's mind was a mess. He leaned against the table, leaning against the bedtime story that would kill a normal person if they touched it. Even a red specter was afraid of it. I need to organize my thoughts. This world behind the door is too unique. The chance of the ghost fetus hiding here is very high. Picking up the pen on the table, Chen Ge started to write on the blank notebook. The school and the buildings outside the school are all scenes from my memory. So far, of the people that have appeared, there are 2 people that only exist in my memory. I don't remember most of the other students, and it was my first time seeing the middle-aged man who brought Zhangya here. From this, it can be seen that the framework of this world is based on my memory, but it also contains the memory of another person. Quote. Different people's memories intertwined to form a common world. Chen Ge had seen this before, and that was the school of the afterlife. The school of the afterlife, which was originally a normal 3-star scenario, continued to absorb the students' memories and combine the scenarios until it became a 4-star scenario. But the difference between the world behind Yu Jian's door and the school of the afterlife was that there was no sense of the eerie presence. If not for the fact that Chen Ge remembered clearly that he had pushed open the door, he would have thought that he was somewhere outside the door. Everything was too real, and it would be the same as reality. I seem to have missed out on something important. Currently, I have too few clues. I can only focus on Zhangya and the math class representative. Chen Ge was listing down the known information on his notebook to prepare for the next step of his plan when he suddenly realized that the classroom had become quiet, and all the students appeared to be looking at him. The hand that supported his head slowly put down. Chen Ge turned to look, and a light fragrance floated to his nose. Pay attention in class. Zhangya stood behind Chen Ge. She used the book in her hand to knock on Chen Ge lightly. Then, she left. Looking at Zhangya's back, Chen Ge touched the spot that Zhangya had knocked on earlier. The woman before him overlapped with the woman in his mind, and there was an indescribable feeling in his heart. The class soon passed. Other than looking at the teacher, Chen Ge did nothing else. If I really had Zhangya as my teacher in high school, I would probably get another 100 marks on my high school exam. Forget it. The class is already over, and you haven't even taken out your textbook. The round-faced fatty held his face. Wake up, big brother. Stop dreaming. You should study now and then. You don't understand. I'm not the one who's dreaming. Chen Ge grabbed his backpack and left his seat to chase after the teacher. He knew that it was not good to shout the teacher's name in the corridor, so he purposely ran to the new teacher's side. Zhangya. Hearing the voice, Zhangya was startled. Then, she turned to look at Chen Ge with a smile. You need to call me teacher. How can I help you? You really don't remember me. Chen Ge wanted to test her. The world behind the door was formed from the door pusher's memory, so those who were formed from the memory would remember the door pusher. I remember you. Zhangya looked at Chen Ge seriously. Suddenly, her expression shifted. You're the one who didn't pay attention in class and drew in my class. Drew. Chen Ge looked at Zhangya. He had no idea what he looked like in Zhangya's eyes at that moment. Perhaps she really had forgotten him. I was writing something. Taking out the storybook from his backpack, Chen Ge flipped through it before Zhangya. Do you have any impression of this? Is this the outline you wrote? Zhangya was surprised. Why are you talking about writing again? No matter what Chen Ge said, Zhangya treated him like an interesting boy, and she kept the smile on her face. Hurry up and go back to class. I support your interest in writing, but don't let it affect your studies. The Zhangya before him had lost her innocence. Instead, she was mature and gentle, making people want to get close to her. You really treat me like a child. Chen Ge put away the storybook with resignation. Am I wrong? Zhangya, who was wearing a suit and skirt, looked very mature. She inadvertently revealed a very cute expression. You're the teacher, so I'll listen to you. I'm going back to class. Chen Ge grabbed his backpack and walked toward the classroom. Halfway there, he turned back to look. Zhangya had entered the office alone. So, this is how Zhangya looks when she smiles. It's completely different from how she usually looks. She's so beautiful that it's almost illegal. Turning to look at his shadow, Chen Ge sighed softly. It's not every day that I get a chance to bully Zhangya, but I didn't expect her to be a teacher. This is so hard for me. Returning to the classroom, Chen Ge did not pay attention to the lecture. He used his yin-yang vision to observe the small town outside from his seat. This was indeed Liwan City, but it was completely different from the chaotic Liwan City that he remembered. The people here were honest, and the people lived a peaceful life. Much less the ghost fetus, Chen Ge did not even sense a trace of negative emotion. Could this place be similar to the school of the afterlife, where day and night are two extremes? The student by the window, please come up to solve this question on the blackboard. A male teacher's voice came from the podium. Chen Ge respected the man. He stood up to look at the blackboard and then shouted, "I don't know how to solve it." He glared at Chen Ge for a long time before slamming the ruler on the podium. "Sit down. Stop looking out the window. Du Ming, come up here to solve this problem." Chen Ge's eyes widened. The chubby boy walked up to the lectern. Chen Ge touched his backpack. "Everything here feels too normal. Something is wrong. There has to be a problem." The class finally ended. Chen Ge stopped the chubby boy and led him to a corner of the school. "What are you doing? Even if you want to borrow my homework, you don't have to make such a big fuss, right?" Quote. "I want to ask you something, and you have to answer me honestly." Chen Ge pointed at himself. "What kind of person do you think I am? A loner, sharp-tongued, unsociable, and unpopular student." The chubby boy counted on his fingers and listed them out one by one. "Has my image always been so bad in your mind?" Chen Ge looked at the familiar round face. Even though he knew the boy was telling the truth, he did not feel happy about it. "It's okay." The chubby boy did not seem to realize the danger that he was in. "Fine, let's change the question. Have there been any ghost stories at our school? Like an empty classroom with weird noises at night, a moving specimen, and so on." Quote. Chen Ge's face was filled with curiosity. The chubby boy did not have the heart to reject him. He took out a report from his backpack and handed it to Chen Ge. "Why do you want me to look at this?" Chen Ge took the report and saw Du Ming's name at the second place in class. Top 10 in the whole year, second in class, and you're asking a person like that whether there are ghost stories at our school. What does your good grades have to do with ghost stories? If you're a top student, wouldn't the ghost stories have happened? Quote. "The reason I'm able to get this kind of result is because I've used the time when other people's imagination was wandering on my studies. That's enough. If not for the fact that you're such a nice person, I would have shown you what a ghost story looks like right now." Chen Ge was quite speechless, but when he remembered that the other person was a cocky child, he felt relieved. "I won't lower myself to your level. Next question, has anything bad happened in our school, such as campus violence, accidental deaths of students, and so on? What are you thinking about every day?" The chubby boy shook his head and took back his report card. "Have you been under too much pressure lately?" "That's right. You're the fourth from the bottom of the class. Your grades are steadily declining, and you won't be able to explain it to your family. I suggest that you start studying diligently. It's useless to think about other things." Quote. After putting the report back into his backpack, the chubby boy left. "This guy's personality hasn't changed at all. He's exactly the same as I remember." Chen Ge and Du Ming were not friends. The only reason they were close was because of their horrible personalities at the time. The two of them did not have many friends, and they were huddling together for warmth. Soon, the school became devoid of students, and the surroundings became quiet. Chen Ge did not leave. He chose to take things slow. He would explore the school first and then slowly explore the whole small town. "I have to be careful. The day is about to end." The sky darkened, and it was suffocating. The night in the small town will not be as warm and lively as the day. It will tear down its disguise, reveal its fangs, and tear apart every innocent person. Turning to enter the education block, Chen Ge carried his backpack and looked through the windows. He looked for a long time, but he did not find anything out of place. It was not until he reached the top floor that Chen Ge heard footsteps coming from the roof. School's already over. Who would go to the roof at this time? Gripping the hammer, Chen Ge walked down the stairs. The door that led to the rooftop was not locked, so he silently pushed it open a gap. The top floor of the education block was the closest to the sky. Looking up, it felt like the sky was going to fall at any moment. No one's here. The cold wind blew, and the rain fell on his face. This rain was very sudden. Pulling his gaze back, Chen Ge walked down the stairs. When he was about to leave the education block, the rain outside had already become heavier. This should be normal rain, right? The rain behind the door might be hiding resentment and curses. Chen Ge reached his hand into the rain. The rain fell on his palm, and the chill seeped into his heart. Why is it raining behind the door? Looks like I'll have to pay attention to specters who use umbrellas as their possession. There should be many of them. After all, in many stories, umbrellas are the best hiding place for spirits. Chen Ge was lost in thought when a shadow suddenly covered his face. Who is it? Whipping around, Chen Ge saw Zhang Ya, who was startled. Why aren't you home yet? Did you forget to bring the umbrella? Zhang Ya stood behind Chen Ge with the umbrella. She was the one who had raised the umbrella over Chen Ge's head. At that moment, it appeared like they were the only two in the education block. Chen Ge looked at Zhang Ya, and his lips fell open. Suddenly, his heart raced, and he quickly took a step back. Seeing how cautious Chen Ge was, Zhang Ya thought it was funny. Are you afraid of me? No. That's good. We don't know when the rain will stop. I'll walk you to the bus stop. Zhang Ya walked to Chen Ge's side with the umbrella. Let's go. For some reason, Chen Ge, who was usually very assertive, followed beside Zhang Ya. The ghost story investigation at the school and exploring the small town were all forgotten. The light scent of shampoo drifted into his nose. Chen Ge's eyes could not help but wander to Zhang Ya. At that moment, he was probably feeling blissful. The rain became heavier. The pedestrians hurried past. The neon lights by the street were blurry through the mist, and the world seemed to be filled with the sound of falling rain. Zhang Ya, what did you just say? Zhang Ya seemed to hear Chen Ge say something, but the rain was too loud for her to catch it. It's fine. Why don't you walk inside? There are too many cars out there, and I'm afraid they'll splash the muddy water on your clothes. Chen Ge carried his bag and walked to Zhang Ya's other side. Only then did they notice that the other's shoulders were wet from the rain. Neither of them wanted the other to get wet, but to their surprise, both of their clothes were wet. Walking down the rainy street, the two did not speak until they reached the bus stop that was closest to the school. Which bus are you going to take? Bus 104. Chen Ge gave her a random route and stood quietly beside Zhang Ya. He did not want to talk, but he kept his eyes on Zhang Ya. The world behind the door was made from his memory. Even though there were strange and absurd parts, most of them were in line with reality. The reason Zhang Ya appeared in her current form was related to Chen Ge's own memory. My bus is here. You should go home early and don't wander off. Zhang Ya took out her phone. This is my number. When you get home, send me a message to let me know you're safe. After exchanging phone numbers, Zhang Ya got on the bus. She even waved at Chen Ge from the window. The colorful bus disappeared into the curtain of rain, but Chen Ge was still standing where he was. Welcome to Fanfic Audiobook, your go-to place for immersive audiobooks. If you enjoy the content, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to our channel for more amazing stories. The Zhang Ya behind Yu Jian's door likes to smile, and she is very pretty when she smiles, but I have a feeling that there is a trace of sadness hidden behind her smile. So, does she recognize me or not? Is this Zhang Ya's appearance an accident? Or is it the influence of that storybook? The turning point in Yu Jian's life was when his homeroom teacher resigned. It was then that he had a falling out with the ghost fetus. In other words, the most important person in Yu Jian's world behind the door is probably the teacher, the only person who helped him when he was in trouble. Does he want me to go through what he has gone through? Use my memory to experience his past. Leaning against the billboard, Chen Ge looked at the rain. No matter what, perhaps this is the chance for me to get to know Zhang Ya better. Patting his face lightly, Chen Ge tried to wake himself up. Calm down. Although it feels like a youthful and inspirational school life now, who knows, it might turn into a bloody murder at some point in time, or a vengeful ghost coming for your life. The rain did not look like it was going to stop. Chen Ge borrowed an umbrella from a passerby and returned to the school. The sky was already dark. The world behind the door appeared to have no concept of time. Everything happened in the blink of an eye, and things changed very quickly. Taking out the hammer, Chen Ge wandered around the school. Night has come, but the ghosts and the various evil things still haven't shown up. Is this the Li Wan city that I remember? There were no murderers or red specters. It was a normal small town. Wu Sheng's voice was taken away, so everyone's mouths behind his door were sewn shut. Zhang Ming's hearing was taken away, so his world is very quiet. Fang Yu's memory was taken away, so her world behind the door is a sea of gray. All the children chosen by the ghost fetus will have a broken world behind the door. Whatever the child is robbed of, the people behind the door will be missing something, but this world is obviously different. Everyone looks normal. They don't seem to be missing anything. Chen Ge spaced out in the empty corridor with the umbrella when his phone suddenly vibrated. Zhang Ya. Why is she calling me? Chen Ge looked at the caller ID and answered the call. Where are you now? Why aren't you home yet? Zhang Ya's voice came from the other side of the phone. She seemed to be very angry. How do you know I didn't go home? Chen Ge felt a little strange and instinctively asked. Your dad is going crazy. Looking for you everywhere. He called a lot of people. Quote. My father. Chen Ge did not expect his father to show up. His eyes widened. Where is he? I'll go look for him immediately. Quote. The blood in his body started to speed up. Chen Ge grabbed the umbrella and ran out of the school. A fire seemed to have been lit in his heart. Could it really be my father who came to find me? Could this world behind the door be a trap that he has set up specifically for the ghost fetus? Quote. He's on his way to school. A student said you went back to school after school. Thank you. After hanging up, Chen Ge hugged that thread of hope and rushed into the rain like a child hugging a candle. Exiting the school gate, he ran past the bus stop and the convenience store. Chen Ge stopped at a junction. The cars came and went, and different roads led to different places. Chen Ge. A familiar voice came from the opposite side of the road. Chen Ge followed the voice and saw a man in an old jacket running across the zebra crossing. He was slightly shorter than Chen Ge. The normally cheerful man was so anxious that the wrinkles on his face became very obvious. The rain soaked his jacket. The man ran to Chen Ge's side. He panted lightly and suddenly closed the umbrella to hit Chen Ge's arm. The arm was raised high, but it did not hurt when it landed on Chen Ge's body. He did not use any force. Why didn't you go home? If you have something to do, you should have told me beforehand. I would not have stopped you. Do you know how worried your sister and I are about you? Quote. Looking at the familiar face, the man seemed to have lost a lot of weight after a year, and there was white hair on his head. Chen Ge did not say anything. The candle in his heart was drowned by the rain. When he first saw the man, Chen Ge knew that the man before him was not his father. He was just a memory or a fragment that was destined to disappear. You are not him. Holding the umbrella, Chen Ge walked to the man's side and held the umbrella between them. The familiar voice from his memory echoed in his ears. There was scolding, concern, disappointment, and of course, most of it was just the usual small talk. All those things weaved together to form a complete image, his father. The two did not take the car but walked home. Initially, the man was angry, but after a few words, he stopped talking. The father and son walked in the rain in silence. When they were close to the door, the man suddenly signaled for Chen Ge to wait. He ran to the nearby braised food shop to sell 2 pig's trotters. When he came out, he saw an old man pushing a cart outside the braised food shop to avoid the rain. Perhaps due to the rain, there were many unsold vegetables in the old man's tricycle. After a day, some of the vegetables did not look good anymore. The man took out his wallet to look at it before walking to the old man's side. Moments later, he came back with 2 large bags of leftovers. He helped the old man put away the shelves before returning. Can we finish all these leftovers? Chen Ge lowered his head silently, and his mouth repeated the next sentence from his memory. It's fine, we have a fridge at home. It can last for a long time. It's fine. The man did not seem to care. We have a fridge at home. It can last for a long time. We can eat slowly. The two walked into the corridor, and before they reached the door, one of the rooms opened. A girl who looked about 13 poked her head out. She had heard the footsteps from inside the room, and before Chen Ge reached the door, she rushed to open it. Have you found my big brother? The girl stammered, and her hands would move uncontrollably. She leaned against the door, and her lips were slightly slanted. The gap between her teeth was wider than a normal person's, and there was an innocent smile on her face. Ruiyu, quick, go back. Don't fall again. The man carried a large pile of vegetables and 2 pigs' trotters into the room. Chen Ge followed behind him silently. There was not much furniture in the room, and the decoration was simple, but it gave off a warm feeling. Big brother, the girl who looked 13 felt like a child of 5 or 6. When she saw Chen Ge walk in, she leaned against Chen Ge like a doll. Ruiyu. Luo Ruiyu. That was the name of director Luo's daughter. She suffered from angel syndrome, and after she passed away, director Luo had placed her ashes at the theme park. Actually, it was director Luo who had built New Century Park for Luo Ruiyu. Luo Ruiyu was the guardian spirit of New Century Park and Chen Ge's childhood playmate. They had grown up together, and Chen Ge's parents treated Luo Ruiyu like their own daughter. This non-existent family member received as much love as Chen Ge did. Normally, Luo Ruiyu hid inside the doll that Chen Ge had made when he was young. Later, at the eastern Zhujiang Dam, Luo Ruiyu had helped Chen Ge survive a tragedy, and it had caused her to be heavily injured. Once she left New Century Park, she would lose all her power. Chen Ge did not expect to run into Luo Ruiyu behind Yu Jian's door, and in such a way. It's time to eat. The man poured the pork trotters into 2 bowls and cooked a few dishes. When they started to eat, the atmosphere was quite serious, but at some point, it became warm. Both Chen Ge and the man had smiles on their faces. Perhaps this was the feeling between family. Chen Ge, why did you come back so late today? Is it because you're too scared to go home because your results are too bad? The man did not eat much pork trotters and had been eating the dishes. He looked much older than his actual age. No, Chen Ge did not know what to say. The closer he was to someone, the harder it was for him to say it. He did not want his father to treat him like a weirdo, so it was not bad to maintain this fake warmth. Stretching his body, Chen Ge looked around the room. He did not answer the man's question but asked casually, "Where's my mother? How come I don't see her?" After saying that, Chen Ge regretted it. He saw his father's eyes dim like the light had gone out of him. Is it because you miss her that you don't want to go home? The man obviously misunderstood Chen Ge's meaning. I miss her too, but the dead cannot come back to life. He did not continue this topic. He finished the rest of the food and turned to enter the kitchen. Sitting in the living room, Chen Ge compared his current situation to Yu Jian. A single-parent family. Other than parents, the most important person is a teacher. These are all Yu Jian's experiences. Now, I can confirm that he fused my memory into his own experience, and then let me experience his past. What is his goal? You want me to understand him, or do you want to drive me crazy and become like him? The world behind Yu Jian's door is too peaceful and normal. All the beautiful things in my memory are around me. If one day, all these things are taken away and torn apart, I will definitely feel pain and despair, too. While Chen Ge was thinking, his hand was suddenly grabbed by someone. Luo Ruoyu was lying on the dining table with her eyes wide open. Some of the soup had stained her clothes. Get up. I miss mom too, but I won't run around. I'll wait for her here. Yes, we'll wait for her here. Chen Ge hugged Luo Ruoyu's head. This family was too warm. It was a memory that he had treasured deep in his heart. After dinner, Chen Ge cleaned up the table, picked up his backpack and returned to his room. He lay in bed and looked at the night sky outside the window. Even at night, the sky appeared to be covered in dark clouds. The moon and stars could not be seen. All the light came from the lights in his memory. I have a feeling that something bad is going to happen. Even though Chen Ge was very sleepy, he was not brave enough to sleep behind the door. After there was no movement outside the room, Chen Ge wrote a note and carried his backpack to the door. I can't waste any more time. Yu Jian must be hiding somewhere in this small town. Perhaps he's watching me from the dark. He pushed open the door. The moment the door opened, the night disappeared and the sun rose. Chen Ge stood where he was, holding the doorknob. He looked at the window in the corridor. The sky outside was gray, and it was covered in thick clouds. How come it's already morning when I open the door? Does it mean that every time I leave the house, it means that a new day has begun? Is this home the place where everything begins? Quote. Why are you up so early today? Chen Ge's father, who was dressed neatly, walked out from the room. When he saw Chen Ge, he was shocked. Occasionally, I feel like waking up early. Chen Ge planned to do an experiment. He walked out from the room, stood outside for a while, and then re-entered the room and closed the door. When he closed the door, Chen Ge looked out the window. The sky outside was already dark. His father did not leave the room, but he was covered in exhaustion. There were small black dots under his skin. Once I return home and close the door, night will fall. When I push open the door, a new day will start. Chen Ge pushed the door open again. His father said the same thing, but the tiredness on his face was more obvious, and the number of black dots appeared to have increased. No, even though it doesn't affect me every time I open and close the door, it will cause invisible damage to the other people in this small town. Time is limited. Perhaps after a few pushes, everything that I value will be torn apart. I have to find Yu Jian before that happens and get to the bottom of the secret here. The people that appeared in this small town were people that Chen Ge could not forget. They were all woven from Chen Ge's memory. If something happened to them, perhaps Chen Ge's memory of them would be erased as well. Why are you standing at the door? Don't you want to go to school anymore? Chen Ge's father came to the door, dressed neatly. He was about to leave when he was stopped by Chen Ge. What's wrong? If you are really the person in my memory, then you will believe me, right? Chen Ge seemed to be talking to himself. What are you talking about? In this small town, you have to pay attention to a person called Yu Jian. All the misfortune and pain originates from him. Yu Jian, I might return home late and do things that normal people will not understand, but I hope that you can trust me. No matter what happens, you have to trust me. Chen Ge grabbed the man's arm, and he used a lot of strength. Looks like something has indeed happened to you. The man patted Chen Ge on his shoulder. I believe you, but you have to believe in your family as well. If you can't solve it, then go home. The voice in his ears, the touch on his fingertips, the image before his eyes, everything was too real. For a moment, Chen Ge even had the illusion that this was reality. Okay. Carrying the backpack, Chen Ge walked out of the house. He decided that he would not push the door at home for a long time. Only then would he be able to prolong the time. Liwan City is not that big, but it's not that small either. A carpet search is too difficult. Chen Ge decided to start his search at the school. Yu Jian's change had started at the school, and the black iron door was also at the school. All the signs pointed to the high chance that Yu Jian was hiding at the school. As long as he could find Yu Jian, all the mysteries behind this door could be solved. The key was that Yu Jian had once voluntarily accepted the ghost fetus. He had shared a body with the ghost fetus for a long time, so he would know more about the ghost fetus than anyone else. The moment he entered the school, Chen Ge used his yin-yang vision. He memorized all the faces of the students in his mind, and he did not miss a single one. The bell rang, and Chen Ge entered the classroom rather unwillingly. I heard you didn't come home that day. What's wrong? Did you run away from home? The round-faced fatty, Du Ming, passed him a note. Chen Ge only glanced at it before crumpling it into a ball. He had not had the habit of passing notes to other adults in class. The fatty extended his fist at Chen Ge, but Chen Ge ignored him and lowered his head to look at the timetable on the table. The third period is English. Am I supposed to stay in the classroom for the first 2 periods? That's such a waste of time. Chen Ge first came up with a plan of action for himself. He considered all the details and loopholes to ensure that he would not make a mistake. Then, he glanced at the clock on the wall. How come it's only been 10 minutes? The world behind the door was made from his memory. Chen Ge seriously suspected that this was because he never paid attention in class and always looked forward to the end of the class. That was why he often felt like time was dragging on. Karma, that feeling had become a reality behind the door. Does time fly by as soon as class is over? Picking up his backpack, Chen Ge wondered if he would anger the teacher by walking out like this. There's no need to get into an argument with the school. Next time, I'll just find an excuse to ask for leave. It was math class, and Chen Ge had an English textbook on his table. He was already prepared for the third period. Hey! Du Ming handed him another note. What club are you planning to sign up for? We don't have many friends, so why don't we sign up for the same club? At least we won't be completely isolated. Club? After school yesterday, I saw some seniors giving out advertisements, and some clubs purposely went to every class to recruit members. Chen Ge and the others went to a private high school. Some of the systems were different from those in public schools. The publicity club can go to every class? The chubby boy did not realize that his casual words had given Chen Ge an idea. I can openly visit every class under the banner of the club's publicity. How about go? I don't need to exercise. I can just sit there and daydream. Isn't that perfect? Du Ming and Chen Ge were not on the same wavelength, so the two continued to chat. Finally, the class was over. Chen Ge grabbed his backpack and rushed out of the classroom. We can't waste time during recess. Someone like Yu Jian, who doesn't have many friends, probably won't run around. He'll probably stay in the classroom. He ran all over the first and second floors. When he was about to go to the third floor, the bell rang. Chen Ge didn't mind and continued to look for Yu Jian. The students could no longer be seen in the corridor. Just like the dean, Chen Ge carried his bag and used his yin-yang vision to float past the windows of each class. Stop right there. Which class are you from? When Chen Ge reached the fourth floor, he was stopped by a middle-aged man. This middle-aged man appeared to be the teacher in charge of discipline. He had appeared together with Zhang Ya before. I need to use the toilet. You're using the toilet with your bag? Did you skip class again? The middle-aged man's face was drawn. Wait a minute. What's inside your bag? Why is there a horn? Open it and let me see. Chen Ge did not mind being late, but if he opened the bag, then he would have a hard time explaining himself. Female high heels were still acceptable. Even though they were stained with blood and looked expensive and sexy, a normal person would be able to accept them. But how was he going to explain the hammer, self-defense, hobbies? There was something wrong no matter how he looked at it. Why are you standing there? Open it and let me see. The middle-aged man felt like there was something wrong with Chen Ge, so he wanted to snatch Chen Ge's bag. Chen Ge stared at the man's thinning forehead and considered whether he should give him a good whack or not. After so many encounters with various evildoers, Chen Ge had developed a unique understanding of how to dispose and hide dead bodies. With this hammer, the school youth inspirational drama will become a thriller and suspense film. Even though this was the world behind the door, Chen Ge still had his own principles. He did not make a move but ran. Chen Ge, who had chased after a red specter behind the door, was now being chased by a balding old man. I can't make a move. Perhaps Yu Jian and the ghost fetus are waiting for me to make a move. They want to drag me step by step into the abyss. The more he thought about it, the more likely it seemed. Chen Ge ran very fast, and the middle-aged man was very agile. Seeing that there was no way to escape, a familiar voice suddenly came from the corridor. Chen Ge, Mr. C. Zhang Ya, who was wearing a suit, stood at the door. Her eyes were filled with shock. What are you doing? Mr. Zhang. Quick. Stop him for me. This is ridiculous. The middle-aged man gasped for air. He held the back of his waist. When he was running, he did not feel anything, but when he stopped, his lungs burned with pain. He wants to see my bag. Chen Ge used the opportunity to hide behind Zhang Ya. I was going to the toilet, but he insisted on stopping me. The middle-aged man also heard Chen Ge's voice. You're here to study. Is there something that has nothing to do with study in your bag? Take it out now. Neither side gave in. Zhang Ya stood in the middle with a troubled expression. Please stop arguing. Mr. C, please calm down. Even though Chen Ge is naughty, he is not a bad boy. Then she turned to Chen Ge. Why don't you go back to class and focus on the lesson? Zhang Ya was obviously siding with Chen Ge, and Mr. C was angered. Don't go yet. What the hell is in your bag? Why did you run so fast when I said I wanted to see it? It was not that Mr. C was wrong. He was just being strict, probably because he wanted to be responsible for the other students. The atmosphere was tense, and Zhang Ya did not know what to say. She whispered to Chen Ge. Can you tell me secretly if there is anything that is not in the bag? Mr. Zhang. Don't waste time with him. Based on my years of teaching experience, this kid definitely has cigarettes in his bag. Go ahead and search. You'll definitely find them. Mr. C was very angry, and his sparse hair was standing on end. I don't have cigarettes in my bag. I don't smoke either. Chen Ge's voice was laced with grievance. Then why won't you let us see? Mr. C walked over. Zhang Ya also turned to look at Chen Ge. Fine, I'll let you see, I'll let you see. Chen Ge then pulled open the zipper of his backpack and took out the pair of red high heels. When my mother left me, this was the last thing she left me. I just want to keep her by my side. With his head lowered, Chen Ge hugged the pair of shoes tightly, and his voice was shaking. I know it's weird to stuff a pair of shoes like this inside a school bag, and I'm afraid of being treated like a monster, but I just want to be with her forever. Have I done anything wrong? Tears slid down his cheeks. Chen Ge shoved the red high heels into his backpack, hugged the bag, and turned to leave. Zhang Ya and Mr. C stood where they were. Their expressions were complicated, and neither chased after him. Returning to the classroom, Chen Ge sat in his seat. Brother, why are your eyes red? Du Ming noticed that Chen Ge was feeling down. Did you break up with your girlfriend? I realize there's a reason why you're not popular despite how good you are at your studies. Chen Ge ignored Du Ming and turned his head to the side. He started to think about another problem. Even in the world behind the door, Zhang Ya was still protecting him. In the situation earlier, a new teacher not only did not speak up for the headmaster, she even volunteered to protect her own student. It was quite touching. In Yu Jian's world, other than his family, only that teacher is helping him. Now that I want to experience his experience, the only person I can rely on is Zhang Ya. Chen Ge was optimistic. He was experiencing Yu Jian's experience, but the people around him were not Yu Jian's family but a family that he had created from his own memory. Those who are lucky will be healed by their childhood. Those who are unlucky will be healed by their childhood. Even if they experience the same thing, a different family and living environment can lead a person's future in a different direction. He wants me to understand his despair, and I want to tell him the hope that I have been holding on to. Before reality collapses and the sea of blood collapses, I will try my best to help him. The ghost fetus never thought about saving him. I have to make him realize that. The second class was finally over. Chen Ge was still leaning on the table, looking out the window at Liwan City. In his mind, he had divided the whole city into 4 areas: north, south, east, and west. If Yu Jian was not at school, he would search one area after another. The bell rang again. Chen Ge finally sat up straight. He flipped open the English textbook, which he had not done in a long time. After so many years, I still can't understand a single sentence. Zhang Ya's voice entered his ears. Chen Ge held his chin with one hand, and for the first time, the thought of skipping class was gone. The students on the podium could see everything clearly. Zhang Ya's gaze would occasionally sweep over Chen Ge, and there was a hint of apology and worry in her eyes. Finally, school ended at noon. Chen Ge's house was quite far away, and he didn't have the habit of going home at noon in the past, let alone now. When the school bell rang, Chen Ge had already left the classroom. He carried his backpack and walked down the corridor alone. He came to the roof of the education block alone. The sky behind Yu Jian's door was always overcast, and there was never any sunlight. Chen Ge stood on the rooftop and used his yin-yang vision to look down at all the students. I can't find him. Where is he hiding? This is his world, but he has disappeared. Chen Ge remembered clearly that when he first entered the door, there was a man's voice in his ears. That man should be Yu Jian. Sinking into the abyss of despair, he probably wants to be found and rescued. While he was thinking, Chen Ge heard the steel door behind him open, and Zhang Ya in a black suit appeared at the door. She was surprised to see Chen Ge. Moments later, she walked over with a light yellow lunchbox. Aren't you going home? I don't want to go home. What about you? Why did you come to the rooftop in the middle of the day? The cafeteria is too noisy. I prefer to eat at a quiet place. The view here is good, and there is no one to disturb me. Zhang Ya walked to Chen Ge's side. She looked at the backpack that Chen Ge had been carrying. Are you still thinking about what happened during the day? It was our fault for not considering the consequences. It's fine. In fact, I should thank you. If not for your help, I would have been caught by that Baldy. Baldy? Zhang Ya did not expect Chen Ge to describe Mr. C like that. She almost laughed out loud, and she quickly turned her face to the side. Chen Ge's focus was not on Zhang Ya. He focused on the students downstairs, and his brows slowly creased. The students were almost all gone, but there was still no sign of Yu Jian. You seem to have many things on your mind. If it's possible, can you tell me about them? If you can, you should feel better. Zhang Ya's voice was melodious like a wind chime being blown by the breeze. Don't mind me. Go and eat. The food won't taste good when it gets cold. Chen Ge turned back to look at Zhang Ya. Gentle and caring, if that incident had not happened, the current Zhang Ya would be very happy. Do you want to join us? The cafeteria lady gave me a lot of food. I have a small appetite, so I can't finish it alone. Zhang Ya probably just wanted to get closer to Chen Ge. She wanted to understand Chen Ge and help this child. There's no need. Go and eat. Chen Ge was like a child. He ran to the other side and continued to look downstairs. A normal person might not understand Chen Ge at all, and they had no idea what he was doing. In other people's eyes, Chen Ge's face was filled with worry, and there was a maturity that did not match his age in his eyes. The students had all left, and there was no one in the empty campus. Chen Ge still had not found Yu Jian. Where will he hide? Do I really have to turn the whole of Liwan City upside down? Do I have enough time? The people around me look more and more tired. If this drags on, something bad might happen. Chen Ge was anxious, but there was no point in being anxious. He grabbed his backpack and turned around. He realized that Zhang Ya was sitting on the chair against the wall, looking at him. I'm sorry for making you worry. Chen Ge would never hurt someone who was kind to him. He grabbed his backpack and sat down next to Zhang Ya. Most of the tables and chairs on the rooftop were broken. They were defective products that no one used. If there's anything that's bothering you, you really can talk to me. Perhaps I can help you. Zhang Ya was too kind to others. There were people like that in real life, and they were often the first to be hurt. Being beside Zhang Ya, even in the world behind the door, Chen Ge felt strangely safe. He put down the backpack that he carried no matter where he went and moved closer to Zhang Ya. I'm looking for someone. His name is Yu Jian. Why are you looking for him? Because he is the source of all the misfortune here. I want to tell him something. The source of misfortune. Zhang Ya did not understand what Chen Ge was talking about. Has he done anything to you or your family? No, I just want to help him. Chen Ge did not know how to explain it. He had experienced this many times in real life. He was the one who came into contact with the ghost world. He could not share the misfortune, pain, and despair with anyone else. He had to endure it himself. In fact, even now, he knew that Zhang Ya was already gone, but he could not bring himself to say it. Actually, I'm quite tired. Chen Ge leaned lightly on Zhang Ya's shoulder. He closed his eyes and allowed the wind to caress his face. Being leaned on by Chen Ge, Zhang Ya initially wanted to move away, but seeing that familiar face, she did not have the heart to push Chen Ge away. Closing his eyes to rest, this was the first time that Chen Ge had felt so safe behind the door. Moments later, he realized that he had done something wrong. He sat back down and whispered, I'm sorry. This was something that he had not experienced before. Thinking back, Chen Ge suddenly felt a kind of belated shyness. Without waiting for Zhang Ya to say anything, he grabbed his backpack and slipped away. Closing the roof door, Chen Ge jogged out of the school. Probably because he ran too fast, his heart was racing. Looks like the ghost fetus has given me too much pressure. This door is not to be underestimated. Exiting the school, Chen Ge followed his plan and started his search from the eastern side of Liwan City. Since he could not use his Spectre employees, he could only rely on his superhuman senses to sense the dark and gloomy places. Until the afternoon class, Chen Ge did not find anything. He did not have the key, so he could not enter other people's homes. He considered breaking in, but when he saw the police car downstairs, he gave up on that idea. The ghost fetus and Yu Jian wanted him to experience despair, to sink into darkness. If he used violence, it might hasten the arrival of misfortune. This world behind the door is too big. Liwan City, which has been modified by the shadow, is a 3.5-star scenario, so the complete Liwan City should be a 4-star scenario. With that in mind, Chen Ge was startled. Liwan City is indeed part of my memory, but it could also be part of the ghost fetus memory. After all, the shadow's lair is Liwan City. Chen Ge's memory of Liwan City was not that deep. He did not know the exact location of each building. Liwan City is not in Eugen's timeline, and I have only been to Liwan City a few times. Could it be that this world behind the door has combined with the ghost fetus memory? He was shocked by his own thought. If that was the case, then the chance of the ghost fetus hiding behind the door would increase. I still cannot contact my employees. I can't even communicate with them. Now, it depends on whether my employees will break free first or the tragedy of this world will arrive first. It started to rain in the afternoon, and Chen Ge returned to the school obediently. He tried to communicate with the other students, but everyone seemed to hate him. They seemed to be avoiding him at all costs. Was my popularity that bad in high school? Chen Ge thought about it. He felt that this was forced upon him by Eugen. What he was experiencing now was exactly what Eugen had been through. Truancy, tardiness, poor grades, and a cold face every day. I advise you to accept your fate. The little fatty Du Ming twisted open the vacuum flask and blew on it a few times. Then, he took a sip of water. Actually, there's nothing wrong with this. Loneliness is a solitary party. Chen Ge ignored Du Ming. He was thinking about how to get out of this situation. If Eugen locked himself in a room and refused to come out, it would be impossible for Chen Ge to find him without the help of his employees. Looks like I'll have to focus on the important people. Maybe I can find some clues from Zhang Ya, my father, and Luo Ruoyu. Chen Ge turned his head to look at little fatty Du Ming. Strictly speaking, this deskmate of his was a rather important person. At the very least, he had a deep impression of Du Ming. Du Ming, how about we discuss something? Chen Ge asked in a small voice. Which subject's homework do you want to borrow? It's not homework. Can I go to your house? Chen Ge wanted to look for clues. Perhaps he could find something at Du Ming's house. Absolutely not. If my mother finds out that I'm hanging out with you, she'll probably break my legs. Is it that serious? In my memory, your mother is very kind. She treats everyone very well. Chen Ge tried to persuade him. Just think of it as a favor. We can sneak into your house. Don't forget, I gave you a birthday present on your last birthday. Don't mention it. When I opened the thriller box that you gave me, a clown jumped out. After my mother opened it, she sent it directly to the temple. Du Ming shook his head firmly. She also said that if I ever take anything from you home, she'll throw me out. Really? Chen Ge's eyes widened. He did not remember that part of the story. He was not sure if what Du Ming said was something that he had forgotten or something that Du Ming had made up. The rain outside the window became heavier, and the sky slowly darkened. Time passed slowly. Chen Ge was so bored that he started to take notes in class. He waited for a long time, and it was finally time for school to end. Every night, it starts to rain, and it continues until the next morning. From the weather, it looks like it's a repeat of the same day. Chen Ge looked out the window and watched the water slide down the glass. Perhaps when Eugen left the school, the weather was like this. The school was almost empty. Chen Ge stood up and walked to the staircase. He realized that he had forgotten to bring an umbrella again. Don't you have an umbrella? The fatty, Du Ming, walked over with his backpack. I came out in such a hurry that I forgot. You didn't bring an umbrella either? Chen Ge looked at the rain that was getting heavier. He had a feeling that the rain represented something. I didn't bring an umbrella either. Then Du Ming took out a folded raincoat from his backpack. But I do have a raincoat. I'll see you tomorrow. You're here to show off your raincoat? Before I leave this world, I'll definitely give you a good beating. Chen Ge was still swinging his fists when Du Ming suddenly coughed. He sucked in his stomach, puffed out his chest, and raised his head. Are you afraid? Do you understand what I mean by, leave this world? F***ck, you're related to Eugen after all. Chen Ge was about to question Du Ming when he heard footsteps. When he turned around, he saw Zhang Ya standing beside him. Teacher, Zhang. Don't argue with your classmate. Zhang Ya opened the umbrella. You didn't bring an umbrella again. Come on, I'll walk you to the bus stop. Quote. She stood next to Chen Ge and walked into the rain with the umbrella. Du Ming, who was wearing a light yellow raincoat, was left standing inside the education block. What's going on? Du Ming looked at the raincoat he was wearing. What's with this feeling of defeat even though we've won? Chen Ge ignored Du Ming. He leaned closer to Zhang Ya. Let me hold the umbrella. No, I'm a teacher. I'm holding the umbrella because I'm taking care of you. It feels weird if you hold the umbrella. Zhang Ya rejected him with a smile. Like yesterday, the two walked to the bus stop together. Since they had missed the rush hour, there were only the two of them on the platform. Neither of them spoke. One looked at the rain falling from the sky, and the other stared at the passing cars. This time, the bus for Route 104 arrived first, but Chen Ge did not get on it. The bus for Route 104 is here. Remember to bring an umbrella tomorrow. After Zhang Ya said that, Chen Ge stood where he was. The bus is about to leave. Chen Ge. I'll leave after you get on the bus. Chen Ge looked at the two shadows in the puddles. At least this way, we can stay a little longer. The dark gray city was shrouded in heavy rain. The number of cars on the road decreased, and slowly, only the sound of falling rain could be heard. Everyone was in a hurry, and the small bus stop on the street appeared to have been forgotten. Chen Ge carried his backpack and lowered his head to look at their reflections in the puddles. Zhang Ya held the umbrella, and her eyes were filled with surprise. She did not expect Chen Ge to say that. The bus left the bus stop, and a moment later, the bus pulled in. Mr. Zhang, the bus is here. See you tomorrow. Chen Ge waved his hand, and there was a happy smile on his face. He watched as Zhang Ya walked toward the bus while he leaned against the bus stop sign, and the smile on his face slowly disappeared. I can't go home. The moment I push open the door, night will fall, and when I come out, it will be a new day. When the city falls into darkness, the hidden filth and evil will be exposed. Hopefully, I will find something tonight. Raising his head, only Chen Ge was left at the bus stop. The whistle sounded, and the bus started to move. The bus soon left the bus stop, and the only person left in the rain was a woman holding a red umbrella. Zhang Ya. The bus had already left, but Zhang Ya remained where she was. She did not get on the bus. Why aren't you leaving? Chen Ge looked at Zhang Ya with confusion. The woman returned to the bus stop with the umbrella. Every day, I will prepare for class at the office and then take the last bus to leave. Zhang Ya pointed at the bus stop sign. That was the last bus on the bus. You missed it, and you didn't bring an umbrella. I was afraid that you wouldn't be able to go home, and it would be like last time. The eloquent Chen Ge was stumped, and he did not know how to argue. You seem to be afraid of going home. Zhang Ya walked to stand before Chen Ge. Can you tell me why? It's nothing. Did you get into an argument with your family? Or did you run into trouble in your life? There was concern in Zhang Ya's voice. She was born kind, and it was hard to lie to her. You are a good child at heart, I can see that, but you seem to be carrying many things inside your heart. You do not appear to have ever smiled happily. Zhang Ya's voice was filled with concern. Chen Ge did not speak. The rain was getting heavier. Even though he was hiding in the platform, his clothes were still wet. Neither of them left. After a while, Zhang Ya opened the umbrella and looked at Chen Ge helplessly. If you don't want to tell me, I won't force you. She waved at Chen Ge. Let's go. Where are we going? Chen Ge was stunned for a moment. He really couldn't react. Go to my house and change your wet clothes first. Don't catch a cold. That's not a good idea, is it? Then can I leave you alone on the platform? The rain is so heavy, it's too dangerous. Zhang Ya shook the umbrella. She was like the mature big sister next door. Even her helpless expression was beautiful. You really should communicate with your family. Many things are caused by bad communication, especially the conflict between family members. All right, stop wasting time. Come here quickly. Quote. Chen Ge could not open the door to his house. To buy more time, he reluctantly walked to Zhang Ya's side. The two walked along the road for a long time before they finally saw a taxi. When they reached home, the sky was completely dark. Is this your home? Chen Ge did not have any memory of Zhang Ya's room. In his memory, Zhang Ya had always lived in the dormitory. Pushing open the door, there was a small room that was about 60 square meters. Even though it was not big, it had all kinds of furniture. I used to live in the city, but my parents got into a car accident. I lived in their house, and I kept thinking about the past. So, I sold the house and bought a small house here. Zhangya appeared to have walked out from her sadness, and she could calmly talk about these things. Of course, it could also be that she wanted to set a good example for Chen Ge. When she found out why Chen Ge kept wearing high heels in the morning, her heart actually felt bad. Because she had experienced it before, she could understand that feeling better. Putting away the umbrella, Zhangya turned on the lights in the living room. I decorated all the furniture myself. How is it? Not bad, right? Quote. When Zhangya spoke, Chen Ge turned to look at the trash can. It was filled with several empty cans of beer and carrot skins that had been peeled. You still like to drink. This was a hobby that Chen Ge did not expect. Occasionally I drink a little. Zhangya changed her shoes and tied the top of the trash can. I'll go get you a set of dry clothes. Wait here for a moment. Moments later, Chen Ge changed into the clothes that Zhangya brought over. It was Zhangya's own wide t-shirt. Just make do with this for now. You might not be able to wear my other clothes. It's fine. This is good enough. Chen Ge lowered his head to look and realized that he was wearing the same style of clothes as Zhangya, but the color was different. Give me the wet clothes. I'll iron them for you. Go to the sofa to do your homework. It's going to be the mock exam soon, so you need to give yourself some pressure. Zhangya took Chen Ge and her wet clothes into the bathroom. Chen Ge looked around. He placed the half-wet backpack next to the sofa and opened it to inspect it. Thankfully, the comic and Zhangya's storybooks are not wet. Chen Ge wanted to do his homework to leave a good impression on Zhangya, but he did not even bring his textbook back. Several minutes later, Zhangya walked out from the bathroom. She glanced at the clock on the wall. You're hungry, right? Let me see if there's anything else in the fridge. Let's fill our stomachs. Quote. Zhangya took out several tomatoes and eggs from the fridge. She probably did not cook often because she was in a hurry. When she cracked the eggs, the shells fell into the bowl. She quickly used a pair of chopsticks to pick them out bit by bit. Teacher, how about I cook for you? Chen Ge watched Zhangya cook, and his eyes were filled with smiles. You know how to cook. Yes, you've worked hard for the whole day. I'll cook for you as a thank you for taking me in today. Chen Ge gently pushed Zhangya to the side. He opened the fridge to take a look. It was filled with common things. A few tomatoes, a few carrots that had been peeled beyond recognition, 2 cucumbers, a whole piece of tofu, half a piece of chicken breast that had been kept for a long time, a piece of lean meat, and half a bag of leftover pickled mustard. So, the food that Demon God eats is similar to what I usually eat. Do you need my help? Zhangya doubted Chen Ge's cooking ability. After all, there were not that many high schoolers who knew how to cook. Why don't you sit on the sofa and rest? The kitchen is a romantic place for men. Chen Ge took out 2 bowls of shaowan. One bowl was filled with egg, salt, and various seasonings. Then he diced the chicken breast and marinated it. The other bowl was filled with water and the half bag of pickled mustard was soaked in it. Then he heated the oil in the wok. He diced the tofu and fried it until it was golden brown. Then he took out the tofu and set it aside. Next, he fried the onion, ginger, and garlic in the same wok. Finally, he added the seasonings and the golden tofu and simmered it. After closing the lid, Chen Ge used a knife to trim the tomatoes that Zhangya had cut earlier and sprinkled some sugar on them. He took out the cucumbers, peeled them, and cut them into rounds. Then he sprinkled some salt and seasonings on them. On the same plate, there were the sugared tomatoes on the left and the cucumbers on the right. One was salty and the other was sweet. After that, Chen Ge picked up a wok. He diced the lean meat and stir-fried them in the wok. Then he took out the pickled mustard that was soaked in the water and stir-fried it. He diced them and stir-fried them together. Then he added the seasonings. At this time, the stewed tofu was ready. It was placed on a plate and taken out of the wok. After a simple cleaning, Chen Ge poured some water into the wok and put the leftover fine noodles in the fridge. When the noodles were done, the aroma of pickled mustard and meat wafted out. Rice was taken out of the wok. The noodles were as thin as dragon whiskers, and the crystal clear pickled mustard and meat were stir-fried. Teacher, come and serve the rice. Chen Ge glanced at the side. Teppanyaki tofu, pickled mustard and shredded pork noodles. Later, there will also be my homemade chicken popcorn. I think that piece of chicken breast is going to go bad soon. I think it's better to eat it earlier. Zhang Ya's eyes widened. The aroma constantly teased her taste buds. The chicken breast that was soaked in the egg was almost ready. The last step was very simple. The diced chicken breast was covered with starch and fried until it was cooked. It was golden and crispy, and the aroma assailed her nostrils. However, Chen Ge was still a little dissatisfied. If only there were bread crumbs. It would be more tender and fragrant if fried in 2 batches. All the dishes were taken out of the wok and placed on the coffee table. Until now, Zhang Ya still couldn't believe that these dishes were made with the leftovers in her fridge. The main dishes are noodles, teppanyaki tofu, and chicken popcorn. If you think it's greasy, there's also cucumber salad. If you don't like salty salad, I've also prepared sugar tomatoes. It's sweet and sour, very refreshing. Chen Ge looked at Zhang Ya, whose eyes were shining, and smiled even more happily. He simply tidied up the kitchen and sat next to the coffee table. Although Zhang Ya wanted to eat, she didn't move her chopsticks. Obviously, she was waiting for Chen Ge to eat together. Then I won't stand on ceremony. Zhang Ya first took a bite of the teppanyaki tofu. It was crispy on the outside and tender on the inside. When she bit into it, the gravy even seeped out. Is it delicious? Yes. Chen Ge sat across from Zhang Ya. He looked at the way Zhang Ya ate, and the corner of his mouth unconsciously began to rise. If only I could cook for you every day. Outside the window, it was raining cats and dogs, but inside the room, the two were enjoying a very simple and almost impossible dinner. After all the food was finished, Zhang Ya went to clear the dishes while Chen Ge sat on the sofa. He forced himself not to look at Zhang Ya, but his eyes would involuntarily fall on Zhang Ya. As if sensing something, when Zhang Ya put down the dishes, she raised her head and happened to meet Chen Ge's gaze. In just a few tenths of a second, Chen Ge had already lowered his head. He picked up Yan Danian's comic and started to flip through it. Is that your own painting? He asked. That's amazing. After washing the dishes, Zhang Ya walked to the sofa. The living room was not that big. After putting down the sofa and coffee table, there was not much space left. It's my friend's drawing. Chen Ge closed the comic, but Zhang Ya did not quite believe him. Really? Actually, I quite like people with a wide range of hobbies and talents. Quote. Then, this is my drawing. You found out. Chen Ge admitted it without hesitation. After all, Yan Danian could not appear now. I don't know what to say about you. Zhang Ya brewed 2 cups of tea and placed them on the coffee table. How come I feel like you are good at everything other than studying? Something like that. Chen Ge thought about it carefully. He could indeed be said to be multi-talented and proficient in many industries. You sure are welcome. Zhang Ya shook her head. It's quite good. It's good to have your own hobbies and to work hard for them, unlike me. Chen Ge heard a trace of disappointment in Zhang Ya's voice. He was suddenly reminded of something. In real life, Zhang Ya was a dancer and had won the first prize in a competition, but now she had become an English teacher. This was a profession that had nothing to do with dancing. He nudged toward Zhang Ya, picked up the cup of hot tea, and handed it to Zhang Ya. Actually, I understand that you have been purposely trying to make yourself strong. When I first saw you, I knew that there are many things hidden in your heart. You just don't want to say them. The tea in the cup was steaming, and the two sat together. A homemade dinner brought the two of them closer. As the teacher, Zhang Ya should be the one to enlighten Chen Ge, but from that moment on, Chen Ge started to slowly open up Zhang Ya's heart. Other people just think that you are kind, gentle, and kind, but I care about whether you have been wronged or not. Chen Ge silently sat down next to Zhang Ya and picked up Zhang Ya's bedtime story. I have never had such a thought before, but when I saw you, when I got close to you, when I listened to your advice, when I was walking with you, I couldn't help but have this feeling. Even though you are covered in wounds, you still have to force a smile on your face to comfort others. After a long time, Zhang Ya raised her head. She looked at Chen Ge, and she wanted to smile habitually, but she could not do it. When I first saw you, I also felt that you were very familiar. Perhaps it is because we have the same experience. Zhang Ya took a sip of tea. Teacher used to study dancing, and I like dancing very much. I really like it. When I dance, I feel like I have become the breeze, and I can relax freely. I don't have to think about anything. Then what happened to you? When teacher was at school, no one was willing to make friends with me. They said that my dancing was a show of my body, and they kept coming up with more and more ridiculous rumors, but that was not the reason why I gave up dancing in the end. Jongya put down the teacup in her hand. One evening, something happened. I was practicing in the dance studio, and a drunk man rushed into the room. I was so scared that I started to run around, screaming for help, hoping that someone would come to my rescue, but no one came to my rescue. I ran downstairs in the dress that I wore when I was dancing. Finally, I saw my teacher, and she helped me stop the drunkard behind me. I thought that I was finally saved, but who would have thought that was just the beginning of the nightmare? When I arrived at school the next day, everyone was pointing at me. Before the first class was over, I was called to the teacher's office. The drunkard was there as well. He and the teacher who saved me slandered me, saying that everything was a self-directed act. No one was willing to testify for me, and everyone in the class thought that was the truth. Jongya could not continue. From then on, I did not dare enter the dance studio anymore. I did not dare to practice alone, and for a long time, I did not dare to be alone. Chen Ge patted Jongya's shivering shoulders and had her lean against him. It's okay now. We are inseparable, and I will not let you be alone anymore. Two lonely and gentle people healed each other, and they sat together on this stormy night. The rain hit the window like a messy drum beat, and the inside and outside of the room seemed to be two different worlds. The storm and wind vented their dissatisfaction and anger, but the room was very quiet. The clock ticked, and the tea on the table was still steaming. I should be the one comforting you, but once you bring up those things, I can't control myself. I thought I was used to it, but I was just lying to myself. After all, Jongya was an adult, and she quickly adjusted her emotions. Chen Ge immediately pulled his hand back. He knew how to control the distance between them so that they could stay together comfortably. It was not too distant, but it was not too intimate either. This rain probably won't stop tonight. Jongya stood up to check the window and then closed the curtain. She sat down on the other side of the sofa. I've told you everything about the teacher. From today onwards, I will not run away anymore, and you need to move forward. She then took out her phone. Give your father a call. He must be worried about you. Other than that, I also want to have a good chat with him. I will not allow what happened to me to happen to my students. If there is any problem, I will try my best to help you. When she was at school, she was ostracized, and she was talked about by others. Jongya had tried her best, and she knew the pain, so she took good care of her students. All the scars were carved on her body, and it made Jongya gentle and strong. She did not become a dancer but a teacher. Perhaps she once thought, if that day the teacher did not lie and chose to come forward to clarify the truth, everything might have been different. She could not change the past, so she chose another path. At least in her class, she would not allow something like that to happen again. Everything was moving in the right direction, but Chen Ge's heart was slowly filled with anxiety. To make someone experience despair, one had to first give them all the good things and then smash them all. You still don't trust the teacher. With Jongya's encouragement, Chen Ge called his father's number, and it was picked up after 2 rings. I'm at my teacher's house now. It was a simple and warm conversation, and there was nothing inappropriate about it. The relationship between father and son was very harmonious, and they respected and understood each other. There was no such thing as, I'm your parent, so you have to listen to me. After Chen Ge finished speaking, Jongya also chatted with Chen Ge's father for a while. Both of them discussed the issue of Chen Ge's education for a long time. At around 11 p.m., Chen Ge lay on the sofa with Jongya's quilt in his arms. He buried his face in the quilt and said, "It's so soft. Be careful at night and cover yourself with the quilt. Don't catch a cold." Jongya stood at the door of the bedroom. Her house was not big and only had 1 bedroom. You should be careful. Remember to lock the bedroom door. Chen Ge waved his hand. I don't need you to remind me. Good night. Good night, sweet dreams. After the bedroom door closed, Chen Ge lay on the sofa alone, and his mind was empty. I haven't had such a good meal in a long time, and I haven't had a good rest in a long time. I can't believe this is the world behind the door. His body was completely relaxed, and Chen Ge suspected that he would fall asleep the moment he closed his eyes. I can't let my guard down. The ghost fetus and Yu Jian should be looking for a chance. He switched off the light and waited until midnight before entering the bathroom to change into his own clothes. Even though they were not completely dry, they did not feel that uncomfortable anymore. It's time to go. There are no clues related to Yu Jian at Zhang Ya's house. Staying here any longer will only be a waste of time. Rationality told Chen Ge that it was time to leave and use the night to search around Liwan City, but whenever that thought appeared in his mind, his body would try its best to resist it, like there was another voice in his mind telling him to stay. This time, I'm here because I want to see if I can find any clues at Zhang Ya's house. There won't be a chance like this in the future. In other words, this might be the last time I come here, in many ways. When he reached the door, Chen Ge stopped moving. He turned back to look at Zhang Ya's bedroom door. The 18-year-old Zhang Ya became a red specter, and the 25-year-old Zhang Ya became a responsible teacher. The combination of the two of them is the real Zhang Ya. Honestly, when Chen Ge first received Zhang Ya's love letter, there was only fear in his heart. Death was like a dark cloud hanging over his head. The first time his impression of Zhang Ya changed was during the murder by midnight livestream. He had encountered the murderer inside the small house at the back of the mountain, and it was Zhang Ya's reminder that saved his life. Then, he gathered the courage to go to Western Zhujiang's private academy. When he saw what had happened to Zhang Ya in the dance studio, even though he was still afraid of Zhang Ya, there was a trace of heartache mixed in with that fear. It was because of this trace of heartache that he decided to help Zhang Ya track down the murderer from back then. The encounter between the two felt like it had happened yesterday. The time span was not that long, but the experience in between was not something that could be summarized in a few words. Before this, I've only seen Zhang Ya as a red specter, but this time, behind the door, I finally got to know her. Chen Ge walked to the bedroom door and placed his palm lightly on the door. He did not know whether Zhang Ya was asleep or not. After a long hesitation, he whispered, "It is my good fortune to have met you." Picking up the backpack, Chen Ge took the black umbrella from under the coffee table and left the red umbrella behind. Sneaking the door open, Chen Ge did not choose to spend the night at Zhang Ya's home. He braved the rain and left. Following his original plan, Chen Ge started his search from the eastern side of Liwan City. The small town in the storm was different from normal. There were no streetlights, no light, and not a single car could be seen on the road. It feels like I'm the only person in this small town after nightfall. Chen Ge had gotten used to the darkness. He checked the buildings one by one, but he found nothing. He did not see anyone. It feels like this place is getting more and more oppressive, but I can't tell what's wrong with it. Nothing and no one has changed. The storm stopped early in the morning, and Chen Ge returned to school early. He climbed over the wall, opened the classroom window, and returned to his seat. The students trickled into the school. The first class of the day was English. Before the teacher arrived, Chen Ge borrowed Duming's homework, and he finished it in 10 minutes. "Thank you. If you have time in the future, I'll invite you to visit my haunted house." Chen Ge returned the homework to Duming. He was surprised to realize that the normally talkative Duming did not say a word this time. He seemed to be in a bad mood. "Are you all right?" Duming still did not speak. He kept his head lowered like he did not dare look at Chen Ge. After the morning class, Chen Ge stretched lazily. He was about to chat with Duming when the fatty grabbed his bag and left on his own. "Something's not right. I need to get to the bottom of this." Chen Ge walked quickly. Once he exited the classroom, he ran into two other male students. "I'm sorry." Chen Ge did not want to get into trouble, so he took the initiative to apologize. "Such bad luck." One of the male students patted his shirt. He seemed to hate Chen Ge a lot, and he cursed under his breath. His voice was not loud, just loud enough for Chen Ge to hear. The general gist of it was that Chen Ge had a mother who gave birth to him, but he did not have a mother to raise him. He was using the fact that he was a single parent to attack Chen Ge. "Student, it is not right to scold others." I'll come back later to tell you why it is wrong. Chen Ge had a smile on his face. He memorized the faces and voices of the two male students and left. This was not to say that Chen Ge was a tolerant person who could tolerate other people's insults. He merely felt that there was no need to lower himself to the level of people who were about to die. The two male students thought that Chen Ge was a pushover, and their faces were filled with condescension. Chen Ge noticed some bad signs from them. Tragedy had arrived, and this world behind the door had started to target him. The ghost fetus and Yu Jian can't wait any longer. In the end, Chen Ge still could not find Du Ming. He wandered around the education block before grabbing his bag and heading to the rooftop. Pushing open the steel door, he saw Zhang Ya sitting alone at the spot where he had left her earlier. There was a lunch box next to her like she was waiting for someone. Mr. Zhang, I didn't expect you to really come. Zhang Ya waved. When did you leave this morning? I left the moment the rain stopped. This is the first time I've spent the night at someone else's home. It's quite embarrassing. Chen Ge sat down next to Zhang Ya, and for some reason, his heart started to race. Have you had lunch? No. You can't keep skipping lunch. Zhang Ya opened the lunch box that was stacked together. Coincidentally, I bought an extra set of food today. After the lunch break, Chen Ge returned to the classroom, and Zhang Ya returned to the office. The second period was still Zhang Ya's class. Chen Ge was quite happy about it, but who knew that when Zhang Ya started her lecture, the classroom door was pushed open. Mr. C stood outside the door and waved at Zhang Ya like he had something important to tell her. Before she left, there was a smile on Zhang Ya's face, but after she returned, her brows were furrowed together, but they soon relaxed. She would not let her bad mood affect the students. She worked hard to finish the class, and then she left the classroom in a hurry. Did something happen? Chen Ge carried his backpack and followed her out. Just as he reached the corridor, he heard two students whispering to each other. I heard the new teacher was reprimanded by the teacher. I think it's because she got too close to the students. So what if she got too close to the students? Who knows? She used to have a bad reputation, so she came to our small town to teach English. Quote. Really? It's fake. Don't say that. Quote. I just heard it from someone else, but it might be true. Like I said, such a beautiful woman, why wouldn't she be better off being a teacher in a small town? That's right, you can't judge a book by its cover. Chen Ge had no idea where the rumors came from. Even if he told the few students to shut their mouths, more rumors would appear. The ghost fetus and Yu Jian are probably waiting for me to make a move. After everyone left, Chen Ge stood not far away from the office and looked out the window at the rain that was getting heavier. Zhang Ya was the last to leave the office. She saw Chen Ge, who had been waiting not far away, and Chen Ge saw her at the same time. Chen Ge did not know whether he would bring trouble to Zhang Ya or not. After making sure that there was no one on the floor, he still walked over. Why aren't you home yet? Zhang Ya showed the same smile that she usually did. There was no sadness on her face. She acted like nothing had happened. Don't let yourself be wronged because you care about my feelings. Whatever you need me to do, you can tell me. Chen Ge held the black umbrella that he had taken from Zhang Ya's home. He did not return the umbrella to Zhang Ya. Around me, the only person who can talk to me like this is you. I know. Zhang Ya leaned toward Chen Ge. She repeated what Chen Ge had said earlier. Around me, the only person who can talk to me like this is you. She opened the red umbrella, and there was still a faint smile on her face. Actually, there are many things that I need you to do. For example, I want you to focus on your studies, avoid conflict with your family, be happy, and build a good relationship with your classmates. I will try my best to do all these things. I will do everything that you ask of me. I only hope that you can promise me one thing. Chen Ge looked at Zhang Ya seriously. What is it? If one day, you can't handle the pressure and want to leave, before you leave, I hope that we can meet again. Why would I leave? Zhang Ya shook her head. You're overthinking things. Don't worry about whether I'm overthinking things or not. Just tell me whether you promise me or not. Chen Ge repeated that sentence like a child. I promise. If I plan to leave, I will definitely tell you beforehand, Zhang Ya replied rather helplessly. That's good. Chen Ge instantly became happy. You really are a child. By then, Zhang Ya's smile was not as fake as before. This was a real smile. You have an umbrella today, so you can go home on your own. When you get home, remember to send me a message to tell me that you are safe. If you still have trouble communicating with your family, you can call me, and I will help you communicate with them. Quote. Don't worry. Following the promise, Chen Ge did not wander around that day. He waited for Zhang Ya to leave before jumping over the wall and leaving the school. That way, the guards at the gate would not gossip about him. Chen Ge purposely kept his distance and returned home early. Brother, Luo Ruiyu saw Chen Ge and happily ran over to open the door, but Chen Ge did not enter the house. Ruiyu, are you alone at home? Yes. Dad, did not get off work. Luo Ruiyu was confused as to why Chen Ge did not enter the house. Her big blinking eyes kept looking at Chen Ge. Then I will wait for him here. The door was not closed, and Luo Ruiyu did not go back, so Chen Ge sat down in the corridor and started to tell her stories. As the only member of the Society of Strange Tales, Chen Ge had a lot of stories to tell. He removed some of the darker parts and only told the kind parts of humanity. After who knew how long, Chen Ge's father returned. His face was filled with fatigue, and there were obvious black threads on the back of his hand that was holding the vegetables. What are you doing outside? Why didn't you come into the house? Quote. After seeing Chen Ge, the tiredness on his father's face dissipated slightly, and he forced a smile. Why did you go to the teacher's house yesterday? It's not nice to trouble the teacher. Quote. The familiar nagging came. The man did not complain to Chen Ge about how hard his work was, and he did not use that as an excuse to ask Chen Ge to do something for him. Come on in. It's good that you're back. I'll go cook for you. I can't go in. Chen Ge stood where he was. The previous night, he had searched the eastern and western parts of Liwan City. If he had 2 more days, he would have searched the whole of Liwan City. What's wrong? The man did not expect Chen Ge to refuse to go in even though he was standing at the door. He stopped moving. This is our home, a place where we can comfort you when you're tired. I don't know what you're afraid of. Home was a warm place in Chen Ge's memory, but that was not how Yu Jian felt. Once he entered home, night would fall, and only when he left home would the sun rise. Chen Ge did not understand why Yu Jian would have such an impression of home. Even though he did not have a father, he had a mother who loved him dearly. Seeing that Chen Ge was still standing where he was, the man did not force him. At least come in after I'm done cooking. He sighed softly and entered the kitchen. Not long after that, there was the sound of bowls and chopsticks falling. Chen Ge's father seemed to have tripped. His body instinctively stepped into the room, and Chen Ge ran over. The man was leaning against the wall, holding his stomach, and the floor was littered with broken porcelain. The medicine is in the pocket of my jacket. Chen Ge quickly ran over to find a small bottle. The label on the bottle had been torn off, so it was impossible to tell what kind of medicine it was. I'll cook. You should go and rest. Chen Ge helped the man up. Luo Ruiyu leaned against the kitchen door, and her eyes were filled with worry. After dinner was ready, Chen Ge sent Luo Ruiyu back to his room. After covering her with the blanket, he poured 2 cups of hot water and entered his father's bedroom. After closing the door, Chen Ge placed the cup of water on the bedside table and moved a chair to sit beside his father's bed. He grabbed his father's hand and looked at the weak, exhausted man on the bed. In his memory, his father was a mysterious, cheerful, funny man who knew a lot of things and could solve any problem. That tall figure had always been standing in front of him, shielding him from the wind and rain. He had never thought that one day, that figure would be so weak lying on the bed. The pain from his abdomen made his body curl up. He arched his back as if he was unwilling to let Chen Ge see him like this. It's been more than 20 years, and we've never talked like this before. Life keeps pushing me forward, and I'm used to everything. It wasn't until the day you guys left that I realized that my so-called independence was just a kind of independence in terms of life skills. Chen Ge kept a lot of words in his heart, and he couldn't share them with others. What are you talking about? The man's face was rather pale. He leaned against the pillow and hesitated for a long time like he wanted to say something to Chen Ge, but in the end, he did not. He merely joked. "Who taught you how to cook? It tastes quite good." Quote. "Perhaps it's because I inherited good genes." Chen Ge handed the hot water to his father. "What kind of medicine did you take earlier?" "It's for stomach problems." "It's fine. It's better to treat illness as soon as possible. Don't worry about the family, I'll take care of Ruiyu." The man before him was Chen Ge's own memory. At that moment, he seemed to have calmed down and used a special method to communicate with his father. The two chatted for a long time and solved all the misunderstandings. In the middle, Chen Ge was worried about the man's health and wished for him to rest early, but the man stubbornly insisted that Chen Ge stay by his side and kept reminding him of the responsibilities that he should bear as the head of the family. The thing that he said the most was, "Take care of yourself and take care of your little sister." When the sun was about to rise, the storm stopped. Chen Ge returned to the door, but before he stepped out, a sound came from his father's bedroom. He hurried over and saw the man sitting on the edge of the bed, dressed neatly. One of his hands was holding his stomach, and the other was rummaging through the drawer, looking for something. "Don't go to work today." Chen Ge helped him find the medicine. Looking at the greenish-black veins on the back of the man's hand, it was not an illness but a curse. The ghost fetus and Yu Jian were cursing Chen Ge's memory. His father was getting weaker and weaker because of them. They were probably planning to harm all the people that Chen Ge loved, to make Chen Ge experience despair. Flipping through the comic, Chen Ge tried to call out the names one by one, and a small blood vessel appeared on the comic. "I still need more time." After telling the man to rest at home, Chen Ge grabbed his backpack and went to school. When he entered the school gate, he did not feel anything wrong. The day was just like any other day. When he arrived at the classroom, many students were already there. Some were preparing for the day's class, some were memorizing vocabulary, and some were catching up on their homework. Chen Ge sat down at his seat. He glanced to the side. Du Ming had his head lowered as he was tinkering with something. The side of his desk that was closest to Chen Ge was neatly filled with homework from various subjects. Du Ming did not say anything to Chen Ge, but the message that he was trying to convey was clear: take whatever you need. Compared to Du Ming, who was still a child, Chen Ge was like a 1,000-year-old fox spirit. He knew that Du Ming had been paying attention to him. What happened to this man? Why did he suddenly stop talking to me? Could he be the source of the rumors? Even though the Du Ming in his memory was a rather selfish person, he would never go around spreading rumors. He had no interest in gossip or gossip. If he had the time to spread rumors, he would rather spend it doing more homework. The fatty might have a loose tongue, but he was a top student who never dropped out of the top 10. He had very little time for entertainment and was very disciplined. Chen Ge did not touch Du Ming's homework. He took out the English textbook and started to compare it to the homework. I should finish the multiple choice questions first. If only the pen spirit was here. The third period was English class. When Zhongya entered the classroom, many students started to whisper among themselves. The rumors and malicious slander did not affect Zhongya's behavior. She was just like normal. During the fourth period, Chen Ge was paying attention in class when he suddenly received a phone call. The caller was his father's colleague. He said that his father had suddenly fainted at the hospital, and he needed Chen Ge to hurry over. As the eldest son of the family, Chen Ge gave the teacher a brief explanation and then left the school in a hurry to rush to the hospital in Liwan City. Pushing open the door, Chen Ge's father was still unconscious. "Doctor, what's wrong with my father? We're in the middle of an examination. Please stay calm and wait outside. Do not disturb the patient." Chen Ge was chased out of the room by the doctor. He sat on the bench outside the hospital, and about 10 minutes later, there was another set of footsteps coming down the corridor. "Chen Ge, what did the doctor say?" Zhongya had also arrived at the hospital. She knew about Chen Ge's family situation, and she was Chen Ge's class teacher, so she thought that it was the right time for her to come over. Seeing Zhongya, Chen Ge felt slightly better. They're in the middle of an examination. I believe with the medical standard of the town's hospital, even if they find out what the illness is, they won't be able to cure it. Through the window, Chen Ge saw his father's greenish-black arm. The black particles that represented the curse had started to spread. If there's anything I can help with, just tell me. Zhangya handed the lunchbox she was holding to Chen Ge. I don't have any classes in the afternoon, so you should go back first. I'll stay here. If anything happens, I'll inform you immediately. I think it's better if I stay here. I have a bad feeling about this. Chen Ge and Zhangya did not go to school that afternoon. When the sky was about to turn dark, Chen Ge's father finally woke up. He was in a very bad state. Leave the family to me. You just focus on recovering. Chen Ge called the red high heels' name in his heart, but there was no reply. However, on the page where the red high heels was hiding, a very thin blood vessel appeared. The employees were about to break free. Chen Ge held his father's hand. Not many people could understand what he was feeling. When all the red specters appeared, it would be the moment this world shattered. He would be able to return to reality, but at the same time, he would lose everything. After the sky turned dark, Chen Ge returned home. He had just stepped into the stairwell when Luo Ruiyu, who heard the footsteps, ran over to open the door. No matter how tired or uncomfortable one was, when one returned home, the lights were on, and there was someone to open the door for one. That was the simplest form of happiness. Brother, Dad will be staying outside for the next few days. He won't be back for a while. How about I cook for you? Luo Ruiyu did not understand what being hospitalized meant. She only saw how happy Chen Ge was. Entering the room, Chen Ge prepared the meal. He placed it on the table, but Luo Ruiyu did not go to eat. What's wrong? Is it not to your taste? Quote, where's Dad? Luo Ruiyu hugged the bowl. She wanted to wait for Chen Ge's father to return so that they could eat together. He needs to be hospitalized for treatment. He'll be back in a few days. Chen Ge sat on the other side of the table. The small room with only the two of them looked rather deserted. He was sitting on the seat that his father used to sit on. Perhaps in the past, when he was not home, this was how the two of them ate their meals. Where's Dad? Luo Ruiyu hugged the bowl and kept looking at Chen Ge. She kept asking, and it appeared like she was about to cry from anxiety. Constant explanations would not be able to console Luo Ruiyu. Chen Ge called his father's number and placed the phone next to Luo Ruiyu's ear. Hearing her father's voice, the girl's mood brightened up. Chen Ge placed the phone on the table, and Luo Ruiyu finally started to eat. Listening to his father's occasional coughing, Chen Ge did not touch the food on the table. He looked silently at Luo Ruiyu and the slightly deserted old house. The owner of this house is my father. If he leaves one day, I will help him take care of everything. Think about it, this old house is like the haunted house in western Zhejiang. At that moment, Chen Ge suddenly understood the purpose of Luo Ruiyu's existence behind the door. Luo Ruiyu was the first ghost that accompanied Chen Ge in his memory. This sister actually represented his family other than his parents. She represented the employees that Chen Ge could not bear to part with. To take care of Luo Ruiyu, I will not fall so easily. After putting Luo Ruiyu to sleep that night, Chen Ge stayed inside the house. Once he pushed open the door, the next day would arrive. To buy as much time as possible, he did not go anywhere. The blood vessels in the comic increased, and the rain outside the window became heavier. After dawn, Chen Ge carried his backpack to school. The strange gazes around him started to increase. He didn't care about these things. Rumors and verbal attacks couldn't affect his emotions at all. When he arrived at the classroom, Chen Ge noticed that Du Ming's condition was getting worse. There were dark circles under his eyes, and his lips were chapped. He did not dare look Chen Ge in the eye. Chen Ge still did not copy Du Ming's homework. He knew that Du Ming was hiding something in his heart. During the break between classes, he still went to talk to Du Ming, but Du Ming's reaction was very strange. It was like he needed to make up his mind just to talk to Chen Ge. Did something happen to you? Chen Ge did not think that Du Ming would go around spreading rumors, but he had a feeling that Du Ming knew something. After school at noon, Chen Ge first went to the hospital to buy food for his father. Then he went outside to buy 2 sets of food to bring back for Luo Ruiyu. He could not go home, so he handed the food to Luo Ruiyu at the door. The siblings sat in the corridor. As Chen Ge ate, he told Luo Ruiyu stories. As the interaction increased, Chen Ge confirmed that Luo Ruoyu's existence was actually a representation of the haunted house's employees. Initially, she only wanted to stay inside the house and would not step out, but with Chen Ge's help, she started to choose to interact with the outside world and breathe the air outside the house. After watching Luo Ruoyu finish her meal, Chen Ge returned to school. Occasionally, he would send a few messages to Zhang Ya. The two of them always had a lot to talk about, and they would never feel bored. When he returned home that night, Chen Ge started to teach Luo Ruoyu how to tidy the house and some other basic life skills. Things that normal people could do easily were very difficult for Luo Ruoyu. She could not control her body, and there were many things that she could not understand, so she needed to repeat them. He taught her for a long time, but he did not learn much. Even so, Chen Ge would not stop praising Luo Ruoyu. Day and night alternated, and this went on for a few days. Chen Ge did not close his eyes, and his mental state seemed to have reached its limit. On the 9th morning after Chen Ge entered the world behind the door, the comic in his backpack finally had a few pages dyed red, and he finally managed to get in touch with his employees. The final battle should be starting soon, right? Carrying the backpack, Chen Ge pushed open the front door. The gray sky hung over his head like he could touch it if he reached out his hand. Not only the school, even the neighbors started to look at Chen Ge and Luo Ruoyu the same way. The rumors had started to spread. When he arrived at school, the first class of the day was English. Chen Ge was already prepared for it. Over the past few days, Du Ming had not spoken a single word to him, and the talkative little fatty had become quiet. He no longer communicated with anyone, and his face became paler and paler like he was suffering from a serious illness. His results were affected as well. In yesterday's quiz, he had dropped 10 places. Do you need any help? Chen Ge had finished his investigation of Liwan City in the past 9 days. Even though he did not find Yu Jian, through various clues, he had a general idea of where Yu Jian was hiding. This match had started the moment he stepped into the world behind the door. Leaning on the table, Du Ming accidentally exposed the bruises underneath his long sleeves. He looked even more tired than Chen Ge. Did your family beat you? Because your results have regressed. Chen Ge's voice was soft, but Du Ming heard it loud and clear. His fists tightened and then slowly loosened. In the end, he buried his face in the textbook. The morning class started. They were only halfway through the first class when Chen Ge and the students heard the sound of argument coming from the corridor. The sound seemed to come from the office. It sounded like an argument, but it was more like a woman scolding someone loudly. Hearing this voice, Du Ming's face paled even more. He looked like he was in great pain. There was some self-blame, some embarrassment, but most of it was an indescribable emotion. After class was over, Chen Ge grabbed his bag and prepared to go over. When he left his seat, Du Ming suddenly reached out to grab his arm. What's wrong? I'm sorry. Du Ming let go after saying that. Chen Ge had a rough idea of what was going on. He took a deep breath and ran out of the classroom. The office door appeared to be locked. Chen Ge pushed away the students who were leaning against the window and looked into the room through the window. 4 parents were pointing at a female teacher and scolding her. Their spittle flew everywhere, and their twisted faces grew larger and larger. Mr. C kept explaining and promised that he would deal with this seriously. The argument inside the office was intense. The students outside the office were enjoying the show, and the onlookers were celebrating. Only Chen Ge silently stared at the female teacher. Groundless accusations, and rumors that were getting more and more ridiculous. Chen Ge wanted to rush in with the hammer, but he did not do that. If this really happened in real life, what could he do? If this had happened to a child of his age, what could he do now? Actually, there was nothing he could do. He could only stand outside and watch. Any drastic action would only make things worse. Has Yu Jian been this helpless before? After being possessed by the ghost fetus, he has a power even scarier than I do. He could have killed everyone in this room, but he did not do that. The ghost fetus must have been inciting him to turn him into a demon that hates everything, but he has gone against the ghost fetus, will. This should be the moment when the conflict between him and the ghost fetus reached its climax. More and more students gathered, and the teacher inside the office finally relented. The office door was pushed open. The parent who walked at the front was a middle-aged woman. She looked stern, and the anger on her face had not dissipated. When she walked out from the office, she saw Chen Ge. Her anger rose to the top of her head. She was about to lash out when the female teacher who had been scolded earlier walked over and stood between her and Chen Ge. Everything has nothing to do with the students. The female teacher did not speak much, but her attitude was firm. She refused to budge, completely different from her usual gentle self. The woman cursed again before she was pulled away by the other parents. The few parents left the school with Mr. Sis accompaniment. Go back to class. Don't stand here and watch. The female teacher had the students leave. She took one last look at Chen Ge and said softly, "You should go back to class as well." "We'll talk at noon," Chen Ge said. After the crowd dispersed, he left the female teacher. He returned to the classroom, and Duming was lying on the table, pretending to be asleep. "Duming, why did your mother come to school?" Duming, who was lying on the table, did not answer. Chen Ge could only hear his heavy breathing. "She seems to have placed all the blame on Mr. Zhang. Actually, I was the one who made the mistake." Chen Ge gripped the pen in his hand tightly, and his voice grew louder. "I was the one who interfered with your study, I was the one who asked to borrow your homework, and I was the one who came to talk to you every day to disturb your study. The whole year is watching. Everyone is criticizing Mr. Zhang, but I was the one who was wrong." "Stop it." Duming finally spoke. He was very agitated, and he seemed to be even more upset than Chen Ge. Seeing Duming like this, Chen Ge did not want to provoke him anymore. He only said one last thing. "The two of us are not very sociable. Neither of us has any friends. In the whole class, we only have each other to talk to. From the looks of it, you are actually my only friend." Hearing what Chen Ge said, Duming felt like he was suffering from asthma, and it was especially painful. "Are you okay?" Chen Ge helped Duming open the bottle. "Do you want some water?" Duming leaned on the table, buried his face in his textbook, and held his stomach. "I didn't do it on purpose. I didn't expect things to turn out like this." "What have you done?" Chen Ge was not angry. Instead, the eyes that he looked at Duming were filled with pity. Duming did not say anything but shook his head. His mental state was very bad. Like Chen Ge, he was about to reach his limit. After the fourth period, when no one was around, Chen Ge came to the rooftop of the education block. Zhang Ya was standing next to the railing. He silently walked to Zhang Ya's side, and the two looked at the whole of Liwan City together. The education block was one of the taller buildings in the small town. At that moment, Chen Ge could not help but be reminded of Liwan City behind Xiaobu's door. At the time, Zhang Ya had agreed to his request, and they had been inseparable ever since. The cold wind mixed with the rain fell on her face. Zhang Ya pushed her hair that was messed up by the wind behind her ears. She suddenly said, "Teacher might be leaving soon. Is it because of me?" Chen Ge had already guessed the ending. He had rehearsed this scenario in his mind many times that morning, but when Zhang Ya said it, the words that he had prepared were stuck in his throat. "It has nothing to do with you." Zhang Ya shook her head. "The reason is because of me. I always thought that I had walked away from the past and could start a new life with a smile, but that was just a lie. Being busy, working hard, everything was just an excuse to escape. Actually, after so many years, I feel like I'm still trapped inside that dim dance studio." Quote. Standing beside Zhang Ya, Chen Ge gripped the railing. He could understand Zhang Ya because he was the only person in the world who knew about Zhang Ya's past. Be it the real world or the world behind the door, Zhang Ya had only told him the secret. The ones who are at fault are those who spread rumors. "Give me some time. I will investigate everything and let everyone know the truth." Chen Ge had always wanted to do this. Even if it was the world behind the door, even if everything was his own memory, he still wanted to help Zhang Ya, to give that nightmare a new ending. "It doesn't matter what the truth is. What matters is you. I'm afraid that what happened to me will happen to you again." Zhang Ya cared about Chen Ge very much. When the whole town was filled with all kinds of rumors, Chen Ge still stood by her side and trusted her unconditionally. She had never felt this way before. Even though there was a huge age difference, there was one thing that was undeniable. She did feel something different about this man. I can leave, I can escape, but you can't. Zhang Ya stood before Chen Ge, and her face was very close to Chen Ge's. Your father is still hospitalized, and you have a sister to take care of. These responsibilities will fall on your shoulders in the future. You cannot be affected because of what happened to me. I have a general idea of who the person behind the rumors is. We can. Chen Ge. Zhang Ya raised her arm, and her slender fingers pointed at the cloudy sky. Leaving does not mean that we will never meet again. Zhang Ya seemed to have made up her mind. If she insisted on staying, people would still gossip about her behind her back. Actually, Chen Ge knew that it was not easy for Zhang Ya to make this decision. She must have thought about it for a long time. The hands that gripped the railing turned white, and Chen Ge's eyes were bloodshot. He took a deep breath. Sometimes, I feel like this world is very bad. It will always grab those who are kind to bully. There is no difference between good and bad in the world, but when there are many kind people, the world will become kind. Zhang Ya reached out to help Chen Ge fix his hair that had been messed up by the wind. Her cold fingertips stopped on Chen Ge's face. In the future, you need to be a kind person as well. You should go back now. You still need to cook for your family, so don't waste too much time here. Pulling back her arm, Zhang Ya looked at the campus that she had just familiarized herself with. It was hard to tell what she was thinking. Standing next to Zhang Ya, Chen Ge looked at Zhang Ya's back. He raised his hands and then put them down again. He left the rooftop to go to the hospital. After delivering food to his father, he sold some food to Luo Ruiyu by the roadside. Returning to his residential area, Chen Ge stopped at his front door. Normally, whenever she heard his footsteps, Luo Ruiyu would run to open the door, but today, Luo Ruiyu did not appear. Could something have happened to him? Chen Ge called Luo Ruiyu's name loudly. He could hear the sound of crying coming from inside the house. Ruiyu. Opening the door, Chen Ge was hit by the pungent smell of gas. He ignored the rules and rushed into the house. The kitchen floor was covered in water stains, and the broken pieces of the thermos littered the floor. He rushed into the kitchen and saw Luo Ruiyu curled up in the corner of the kitchen. Her hands were covering her ears, and there was a broken thermos before her. Her clothes were wet, and her neck, arms, and fingers were all scalded. Tears were hanging on her face. Who told you to use the fire? Chen Ge kicked the broken thermos away. He had never been so angry before. Hearing Chen Ge's angry roar, Luo Ruiyu cried even harder. Her red arms were placed before her face, and the tears could not stop falling. Turning off the gas, Chen Ge did not think much of it. He picked up Luo Ruiyu and ran out. Walking out the door, it was the beginning of a new day, but Chen Ge did not care about that. He carried Luo Ruiyu and got into the taxi to go to the hospital. The burn area was not big, and most of it was on the arms. The doctor applied the ointment on Luo Ruiyu, but the girl was still in shock. She seemed to be scared out of her wits. It's nothing serious, but you have to be careful as a family member. It's best not to leave a mentally disabled child alone at home. It's too dangerous. After the doctor left, only Chen Ge and Luo Ruiyu were left in the room. When the ointment was applied on the wounds, it was painful at first, but it slowly turned into a chilling feeling. Luo Ruiyu's arms were placed beside her body. She did not dare look at Chen Ge. She lowered her head and cried very softly. After standing in the room for a while, Chen Ge put down his backpack and sat on the edge of the bed. He hugged Luo Ruiyu lightly. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have disturbed you. The girl in his arms was shaking like she had been wronged. She leaned on Chen Ge's shoulder and cried loudly. I know you want to help, I know you don't want to drag others down, and I know you've worked very hard. I understand that. Chen Ge hugged Luo Ruiyu tightly. We are each other's most important family. In the world behind the door, Luo Ruiyu represented her family and the haunted house employees who had nowhere else to go. She represented the lingering spirits that had been picked up by Chen Ge when they were hiding in the deepest part of despair. No matter what happened, Chen Ge would stand at the front. The training to overcome the physical defect, the company at midnight, and the encouragement that he was never stingy with. Chen Ge did not ask for anything in return. He did that because he saw them as family. After Luo Ruiyu was tired from crying, she fell asleep, but even so, her hands were still holding onto the edge of Chen Ge's shirt. After covering Luo Ruiyu with the blanket, Chen Ge silently left the room. The blood vessels at the bottom of his eyes increased, and the comic in his backpack started to change. The tragedy is closing in. The dream weaved from my memory, now let me end it myself. Because he had returned home once in the middle of the day, it was already a new day. When Chen Ge arrived at school, the first class was already halfway through. He returned to his seat and realized that Du Ming, who was never late, did not come to class that day. When the first class was about to end, the teacher purposely came to ask Chen Ge if he knew why Du Ming was absent. As a top student, Du Ming would skip class. This was something that Chen Ge did not expect. The second class started, and 10 minutes later, a woman's shrill voice came from the corridor. What else do you want to do if you don't want to go to school? What else can you do? Go back now. Quote. The woman seemed to be scolding someone, but he could not hear the voice of the person she was scolding. It was a one-sided scolding. The voice slowly approached the classroom, and then the front door was pushed open. A woman appeared at the door. She was angry, and her expression was scary. What are you waiting for? She yanked fiercely behind her, and Du Ming was dragged into the classroom. The little fatty looked very haggard. He kept his head lowered, and he did not dare to look at anyone. Go in now. After the woman said that, she bowed slightly at the teacher, and her voice was much gentler. This child has overslept, and he is afraid of being punished, so he is too embarrassed to come. It's fine, Du Ming, go back to your seat. The teacher who was teaching the class seemed to be afraid of the woman. Thank you, teacher. The woman's expression changed quickly. She revealed a fake smile and then left in a hurry. After she left, the students in the class started to discuss among themselves. That's Du Ming's mother. No wonder Du Ming is so good at studying. Quote. I thought he would be as fat as him. She looks familiar. Oh right. Isn't she the parent who caused a scene in the teacher's office last time? Quote. I remember her now. She is so powerful. Even Mr. C did not dare to say anything. Being taught by a mother like that is quite scary. Du Ming does not like to talk, and his bad personality probably has something to do with his family. The discussion entered Du Ming's ears. He lowered his head even more, and he did not dare to look at anyone. He was afraid that if he lifted his head, he would see everyone staring at him. Don't worry about it. These people only know how to talk behind your back. If you really stand in front of them, they won't even dare to fart. Different from the other students' whispers, Chen Ge's voice was very loud. Even the teacher heard him. Perhaps it was the effect of his words, or perhaps it was because no one expected Chen Ge to say something like that, but in any case, the classroom slowly quieted down. The class resumed. Chen Ge did not ask Du Ming why he was late that day. After he spoke up for Du Ming, he stopped paying attention to Du Ming. Instead, it was Du Ming who kept glancing at Chen Ge. It was as if he wanted to say something to Chen Ge, but he did not have the courage to do so. The bell rang, and the third period was English. As usual, Du Ming took out his English textbook, but Chen Ge just stood there, staring blankly at the wall. Chen Ge, who was usually the most enthusiastic in English class, was acting strangely today. A bad feeling rose in Du Ming's heart. The bell rang, but even after a whole 5 minutes, the teacher still did not show up. Chen Ge seemed to know this was going to happen, and he turned his head to look out the window. Chen Ge, after several days, Du Ming finally spoke to Chen Ge again. Is Miss Zhang busy today? Normally, she comes early. Quote. Zhang Ya has been fired by the school. Chen Ge pulled his gaze away from the window and turned to look at Du Ming. She will not be coming to teach us anymore. Fired. Du Ming stood up immediately. Everyone in the classroom was studying, and it was very quiet. Everyone heard Du Ming's voice. It was all my fault, but she kept apologizing, and in the end, she was not forgiven. Chen Ge stared into Du Ming's eyes. I once complained to her, asking why the world always bullies those who are kind. She told me that there is no such thing as good or bad in the world. As long as there are more kind people, the world will become gentler, and it will treat more kind people kindly. Why didn't you tell me this sooner? Did you already know this was going to happen? Du Ming's eyes were swollen, and his face was red. I found out yesterday. Chen Ge paused. Is there any point in telling you? She left just like that, and you're still sitting here. Don't you like her? Shouldn't you stand up and do something for her? Du Ming was agitated. He grabbed Chen Ge's collar. Why didn't you stop her? You. Bang. Before Du Ming could finish, he was punched heavily on the left side of his face by Chen Ge. Before he could react, Chen Ge kicked him in the stomach, and his whole body collapsed to the ground. Who is the class monitor? Come out and organize a self-study session. Chen Ge grabbed his bag with one hand and dragged Du Ming out of the classroom by his collar with the other. Do you know who that teacher is? Do you know what that person represents to me? Do you know what she has been through? Chen Ge punched Du Ming again and again. You don't know anything. Quote. Pushing open the steel door on the roof, Chen Ge slammed Du Ming to the ground. She trapped herself in that blood-red, despairing world. She has not seen the light for a long time. She might have even forgotten her real self. Because of that, I wanted to leave her with a beautiful memory. Even though I knew it was just a dream, I tried my best to weave it into a more beautiful one. Quote. Chen Ge grabbed Du Ming's shoulders and slammed him against the wall. But none of you gave me a chance to weave a dream. I don't understand what you're saying, but I know you say that you care about her, but you've never done anything for her. You don't love her at all. You're just lying to her, making her suffer all the pain. Du Ming's face was twisted with anger. He swung both of his hands at Chen Ge. Is that love in your heart? Chen Ge did not fight back. Do you know that love requires qualification? For a 17-year-old student, no matter how much you want to get close to her, you have to understand one thing, and that is that your love might become a burden for her. Love can make a person shine, but it can also make them fall into the abyss. If I were you, I would maintain a suitable distance until the day I can take responsibility for myself and her. Only then would I go and find her. Du Ming's emotions became more and more agitated. He had completely lost control, like the deepest secret in his heart had been exposed. You're not me, you don't understand. He struggled with all his might, but this time, Chen Ge did not hold back. He kicked him to the ground. Pa! When Du Ming fell, his phone fell out. The screen cracked, and through the cracked screen, one could see that the background of the phone was Zhangya. The picture appeared to have been taken secretly. In the picture, Zhangya had a light smile on her face, and she was conversing with someone. Do you also like her? Chen Ge looked at the cracked phone screen and took out the hammer from his backpack. Don't use the word, also. You don't deserve it. When she was criticized by everyone, where were you? When she was tortured by the rumors, what did you do for her? Du Ming wiped away the blood on his face and climbed up from the ground. You didn't do anything. In fact, because you're a student and she's a teacher, you cowered and retreated. You didn't even have the courage to speak up for her. Du Ming roared hysterically. He did not seem to be scolding Chen Ge but his former self. Perhaps from your perspective, the distance between a teacher and a student is large enough to make you despair, but have you considered it? There is another kind of distance in this world, and it is called life and death. When Chen Ge saw Du Ming's phone, all the questions were answered. If you like your teacher, you can give it your all. Give it 3 years, 5 years, and when you're ready to take that step, you can come back to find her. But the distance between life and death might take a lifetime. Quote. Picking up the phone from the ground, Chen Ge looked at Zhangya in the background. Love, from the moment they meet, even death will not stop. It will only end when one party chooses to leave. Is this love? Chen Ge's attack was very heavy, and Du Ming was unable to get up for a while. He held the wound on his face, and he seemed to have calmed down. He started to consider Chen Ge's words. Your mother is very strict with you, but she doesn't seem to have taught you what love is, or rather, she hasn't taught you how to love someone properly. Love is a kind of ability, a kind of responsibility. It is not the same as happiness, and it is not just a longing for the person you love. It includes the attitude you have toward your family, friends, and the world. Those who know how to love will have gentleness in their eyes and light in their heart. Even if they are walking in the middle of the night, they will not get lost. Du Ming's family was very strict, and his mother was very strict with him. If this continued, Du Ming would become an excellent person, but there would be something missing in his heart. The wind on the rooftop howled. Chen Ge gave Du Ming time to think. Then he held the phone and squatted down before Du Ming. Were you the one who spread the rumors at school? Chen Ge clicked open the photo album on his phone. All the pictures inside had been cleared out, and only 2 pictures were left inside the folder. One was of Zhang Ya, and the other was of Zhang Ya and Chen Ge holding an umbrella as they walked out of the school. I didn't spread them. Du Ming forced out the words after a long time. He raised his swollen face. My mother sneaked a look at my phone, and when she saw the picture, she asked who the woman was. I told her it was our new teacher. What does that have to do with the rumors? She saw you and the teacher walking home together under the same umbrella. She felt that this kind of teacher was not a good teacher, so she talked about this in the parents' group. Du Ming's eyes were filled with guilt and self-blame. He hated himself for being so helpless. Parents' group. When did that happen? Does my father know about it? Quote. It was on the day you left with the teacher. Your father should know about this as well. At the time, someone in the group recognized you from your back, and many people demanded your father to come out and give you an explanation. Your dad has been speaking up for you, but I think he was kicked out of the group. I thought he would tell you about it. Quote. My dad already knew. Chen Ge calculated the time. He happened to stay at Zhang Ya's house that day and didn't go back. His father didn't blame him and used his actions to prove his trust in Chen Ge. The parents all felt that such a teacher would not be able to teach the students. They felt that there was something wrong with her, so they decided to discuss it with the school. Some parents even told their children about this and warned them not to do such a stupid thing. Du Ming knew everything, but he didn't say anything. It was no wonder he didn't dare talk to Chen Ge. He just put all the homework on the table, as if he wanted to use this method to express his apology. Zhang Ya's results were the highest among all the intern teachers. Of course, the school wouldn't fire Zhang Ya just because of a few pictures. The 2 parties were in a stalemate for a few days. At this point, Du Ming felt even more guilty. Because of this, I was very dissatisfied with my family. I've never resisted them before, but on this matter, I didn't want to retreat. However, my resistance didn't gain my family's understanding. If anything, she felt that the child that she had spent so much effort to teach had been led astray by the new teacher. In other words, your mother blamed Zhang Ya for the failure of her education. Chen Ge realized that he had neglected a person before, and that was Du Ming's mother. That woman was the person who treated Du Ming the best in the world, but at the same time, she was also the person who hurt him the most. Before this, Chen Ge couldn't understand why Du Ming, who had such excellent grades, would be so unpopular. Most of the time, he was selfish and cold, and he would never respond to others. Now, he finally understood the reason. The real conflict erupted because my results on the test a few days ago were very bad. My mother believed that the reason why my results had regressed was because of Zhang Ya. If this new teacher was responsible for my education, I might be ruined. Du Ming's expression was bitter and pained. He was like a bird that was trapped inside a cage. The people outside the cage enjoyed the chirping of the bird, and they felt that everything was because of the bird tamer. They didn't even consider the bird's inner feelings. That night, my mother shared my story in the class chat group. Many parents stood up to support her. This was related to their child's education, so they couldn't afford to be careless. They decided to go to the school to discuss with the school. Du Ming did not have the energy to continue. You know what happened next? They said, discuss, but it was actually an argument. My mother is a very forceful person. Adults will not understand children. My mother believed that I should understand her good intentions after doing so much for me. She believed that the loud argument at the office was for the sake of the child, but when I heard her shrill voice, all I could think of was to find a place to hide. I know she loves me, but I'm afraid that people will call her my mother. There was indeed a problem with Du Ming's mother's education. Chen Ge felt like he should go and meet her at least once. I think you should try to communicate with your mother. She will never admit her mistakes. She will only use strict requirements and morals to restrict the child. That is not education. Du Ming could already communicate normally. Chen Ge pulled him up from the ground. Both of their eyes were bloodshot. Listen, there is still a chance to make Zhang Ya stay, but I don't know if you dare to do it or not. Me. Yes, take the phone and go to the office now and tell everyone the truth about the picture. There is nothing shameful between me and Zhang Ya. That day, we shared an umbrella because I forgot to bring one. You know all about that. You can be my witness, and you can go and debunk those rumors. Chen Ge shoved the phone back into Du Ming's hands. The key is whether you dare to do it or not. Holding the phone with the broken screen, Du Ming stood where he was and did not say anything. Think about it carefully before you tell me. Chen Ge did not force Du Ming. He looked at Du Ming quietly, but Yu Jian's image appeared in his mind. Du Ming's fingers gripped together. His eyes were red, and after a long time, he said slowly, I cannot go. How did you interrogate me earlier? Your pain is no less than mine, so why don't you dare face it? You want to keep sinking like this, don't you? Chen Ge wanted to help Zhang Ya, but at the same time, he wanted to help Du Ming. If Zhang Ya left just like that, Du Ming would feel guilty for the rest of his life. This was a knot that he could not unravel. If I go and clarify everything, my mother will be very angry. After all, she did all these things because of me. This is her love for me. Du Ming put the phone away. His eyes slowly turned gray, and his face looked like it had lost all life. It was not easy for him to make this decision. Teacher Zhang still has you, but my mother only has me. My father passed away when I was very young. She is so strict with me because she has placed all her hope on me. For your own good, so she turned you into a selfish monster? She took away your happiness, took away your ability to love others. Does your mother like to emphasize how hard it has been for her and how much she has sacrificed for you? Chen Ge could understand that, but he did not agree with it. Your mother did not raise you to be who you are, but she raised you to be the person she wants you to be. I do not deny that she loves you, but her love for you should not be built on the foundation of destroying your personality. Love is mutual. There might be some inequality, but on the whole, it is fair. Hearing Chen Ge's words, Du Ming gritted his teeth. Chen Ge did not disturb Du Ming. He looked at the little fatty before him. Biologically, Du Ming did not have any defects, but he lacked one thing, something that a human being should have, and that was love. I will accompany you and explain everything. Chen Ge grabbed Du Ming's shoulders. I can quit school. I can give up everything because this is my fault. The one who should be punished is me, not Zhang Ya. With Chen Ge's constant persuasion, Du Ming finally nodded. Seeing that Du Ming had changed his mind, Chen Ge sighed in relief. He accompanied Du Ming as they left the rooftop. Knocking on the office door, Chen Ge and Du Ming, who had a bruised face, walked to Mr. Si's desk. How can I help you? Who did you get into a fight with? Mr. Si was shocked to see Du Ming in this state. After all, Chen Ge had not used his full strength. He had beaten Du Ming until he could not stand up before he started to reason with him. Mr. Si, actually, Miss Zhang is not like the rumors say. She did not do anything that violated her professional ethics. Du Ming took out his phone. This is the picture that started to circulate among the parents' group. That day, Chen Ge did not bring an umbrella. Miss Zhang was worried that he would get wet, so she left with him with the umbrella. I was there at the time. But that was not what your mother said yesterday. Didn't you tell her about this? I did, but she did not believe me. Du Ming placed his phone on Mr. Si's desk. So, it was a misunderstanding. Now that this has happened, I need you to call your mother immediately. Tell her to come here, and we can talk things out. Mr. Si wanted to solve the problem. Zhang Ya was the best teacher that he had ever interviewed. It was not right to fire her because of a misunderstanding. Du Ming called his mother, and she soon arrived. Mr. Si also called Zhang Ya, but the call did not go through. Miss Zhang will be fine, right? Chen Ge wanted to go to Zhang Ya's home to take a look, but Mr. Si refused to let him go. He said that he was one of the parties involved, and he had to be there to testify for Zhang Ya. After waiting for about half an hour, footsteps came from outside the door. There was no knock, and the office door was pushed open. A middle-aged woman walked in. Her face was initially filled with impatience, but when she saw the pitiful state that Du Ming was in, her expression changed instantly. She jogged to Du Ming's side. What happened? Who hit him? Was it him? The woman glared at Chen Ge. Didn't I tell you to stay away from this kind of person? He is a bad student, and you still want to follow him? Since I'm here today, Mr. C, why don't you think about changing my son's seat? The reason I called you here today is to tell you about the incident that happened earlier. You have wronged Miss Zhang. Mr. C took out Du Ming's phone. Miss Zhang did not do anything out of line with the student. They were holding the umbrella together because Chen Ge did not bring one. Who told you that? The middle-aged woman's face darkened instantly. Du Ming told me. You don't believe Miss Zhang, but do you not believe your own son? Mr. C thought that he could easily convince Du Ming's mother, but he did not expect the woman to be so determined to get Zhang Ya to leave. Impossible. Someone must have forced him to lie. The middle-aged woman looked at Chen Ge. Where did my son get his injuries from? Did you force him to give you a false testimony? Du Ming's mother was like an enraged lion, and her voice continued to rise. The argument attracted the attention of all the teachers in the office. Du Ming lowered his head, but Du Ming's mother did not seem to care. Her voice grew louder and louder. Du Ming's mother, please calm down. I was the one who interviewed Miss Zhang. She is a very good girl, and she would definitely not do what you said. How can you guarantee that? The middle-aged woman slammed her bag on the table. She does not look like a good teacher. I sent my son to your school because I trust you, and this is how you treat me. You're being a little unreasonable here. Mr. C was in a difficult position. He had said everything he could, but he could not change the middle-aged woman's mind. He turned to Du Ming. Du Ming, tell the teacher the truth. Did Chen Ge force you to say those things? With his head lowered, Du Ming gripped his shirt with both hands, and his face was pale. Du Ming, tell us how Chen Ge forced you to say those things. The middle-aged woman sounded like she was ordering him. The office became quiet. Du Ming did not make a sound. His mother's expression became more and more agitated. Just as she was about to explode, Du Ming opened his mouth. No one forced me to say those things. Both Mr. C and Chen Ge sighed in relief, but Du Ming's mother refused to accept that. She grabbed Du Ming's shoulders. Don't be afraid. Tell me the truth, were you threatened by him? I am telling the truth. Miss Zhang did not do anything shameful with Chen Ge. You just saw Miss Zhang's picture on my phone, and you were afraid that Miss Zhang would affect my results. So you tried everything you could to get Miss Zhang to leave. Du Ming had been holding it in for a long time, and this time, he said everything that he wanted to say in one breath. Du Ming? The middle-aged woman's face was dark. She gritted her teeth so hard that they creaked. She breathed heavily through her nose. She did not expect Du Ming to say something like that. The anger and betrayal rose to the top of her head. Didn't I do that for your own good? Why can't you understand that? Du Ming did not dare answer. At that moment, the bell rang. Many students ran out of the classroom and into the corridor. I have to be your mother and father. Do you think it was easy for me to raise you up? Do you know how much I have suffered? The middle-aged woman gritted her teeth. I have placed all my hope on you, and this is how you respond to me. Du Ming's mother's voice was very loud, and the students in the corridor could hear her clearly. They slowly gathered around and leaned against the window to peek. I am talking to you. What are you thinking about every day? For that Miss Zhang, you don't even listen to me anymore. What kind of drug did she give you? The middle-aged woman pulled on Du Ming's shirt. After your father abandoned us, I am the person who treats you the best in the world. Everything that I have done is for you. As long as you are happy, I will be happy. Why can't you understand that? In this world, I am the only one who treats you the best. Du Ming, you disappoint me so much. Quote. Each sentence tore at Du Ming's heart. The wound opened up, and it was filled with the blood of love. He gasped heavily for air. His hands gripped his shirt tightly, and his knuckles cracked. The quarrel was so loud that it could be heard clearly from outside the corridor. The faces of the students were pressed against the windows, and strange gazes fell on everyone in the room. Du Ming felt like he had been stripped naked and placed on a stage. He tried his best to cover his private parts, trying to find a place to hide. Du Ming's mother is here again. I heard the noise when I was in class. Du Ming's mother sure has a bad temper. Quick, come and see. They are arguing again. Quote. Du Ming comes from a single-parent family. Did his father abandon them? Quote. No wonder he is so introverted. He even stutters in class. These words entered Du Ming's ears, and they tortured his every nerve. The last bit of pride that he had tried so hard to protect was trampled to pieces. His chest rose and fell rapidly. He wanted to cover his ears and run away from this place. His eyes darted around anxiously. His mother's scolding and questioning kept coming. The strange gazes and discussions from the corridor rushed into his mind. Stop it, please stop it, his mouth opened involuntarily. His body was shaking, and he slowly retreated until he was next to the window. His numb fingers pressed against the edge of the window. Du Ming, who was gasping for air, was like a drowning man who had finally found the exit. He yanked the window open. His legs jumped over the windowsill, and his body seemed to become lighter. The wind blew against his face. Just as his world was about to turn upside down, a pair of hands grabbed him. Have you lost your mind? What entered Du Ming's eyes was Chen Ge's slightly unreal face. Death will not solve anything. Using all of his strength, Chen Ge managed to pull Du Ming back. Earlier, he had noticed that Du Ming's emotions were unstable, so he had been standing beside him. Everyone in the room was scared out of their wits. They did not expect Du Ming to do something like this, including his mother. All the teachers in the office turned to look at Du Ming. The surrounding students did not dare to speak. It was as if the world had suddenly stopped. Why would you do that? Du Ming's mother spoke after a long time, but her voice was obviously different from before. It was as if the words that came out of her mouth belonged to another person. Why would you rather die than listen to me? I am the one who treats you the best in this world. I am the one who truly understands you and loves you. Quote. Black spots appeared on the middle-aged woman's face. The world behind the door that was not that different from the real world started to change. Thin black threads crawled out from the corners, and a pungent smell of foul odor rushed at them from all directions. The sky filled with dark clouds pressed down on their heads. The rain poured down, washing away the fake disguise that the small town gave off. The black sky, the red rain, the gray buildings, and the endless curses that intertwined with each other. You and I are the same kind of person. In this world, only I can understand you, only I am willing to help you, but why would you rather die than become the same kind of person as me? The middle-aged woman raised her head. The black curse dissipated, revealing the face of a baby. Ghost fetus. When this face appeared, Du Ming's body was also slowly changing. The fleshy body was like a cage weaved from curses, and inside it was a boy who was as thin as a stick. Du Ming's phone fell to the ground. The woman in the background was no longer Zhang Ya but an unfamiliar woman wearing glasses. All the illusions had faded. This small town was just a nightmare used to imprison Yu Jian. In this nightmare, Yu Jian was wrapped in a thick shell, and the ghost fetus became his closest mother. Perhaps the ghost fetus wanted to use this method to make Yu Jian understand him, to make him understand his sincerity. After all, they once shared the same worldview. They were both monsters, who radiated malice from the bottom of their hearts. The ghost fetus believed that Yu Jian was the same kind of person as him. Yu Jian believed that the ghost fetus could help him do many things. They had once worked together and committed many crimes together. But one day, Yu Jian ran into the teacher who changed his life. He started to go against the ghost fetus, words and his orders. Chen Ge looked at Yu Jian, who was locked inside Du Ming's body, and all the questions were answered. He was thankful that he did not use violence from the start. If he had gone against his principles and destroyed this small town, he might have become the ghost fetus, bargaining chip to convince Yu Jian. The ghost fetus would have told Yu Jian that there was a demon living inside everyone's heart. That was normal. Everyone would do things like that, and there was no need for him to follow the female teacher's instructions. Once the ghost fetus successfully convinced Yu Jian, Chen Ge would not only have to deal with the ghost fetus, he would be targeted by Yu Jian. The worst situation didn't happen. My patience has paid off. Chen Ge used his own actions to teach Yu Jian a lesson. If the teacher that Yu Jian met was the ray of light in his life, allowing him to see the real world beyond the fog, then Chen Ge was the pair of hands that grabbed him, trying to pull him out of the swamp. In the end, the ghost fetus did not gain Yu Jian's approval. Everything that he had done only caused Yu Jian to resist even more. The ghost fetus could not understand the black cursed threads that crawled around his body. His eyes that looked at Yu started to turn venomous. I've been so good to you, helping you with everything I have, and you treat me like this. The baby's face twisted. The hatred in the ghost fetus' heart reached its peak. He could not understand why this was the result after all the sacrifice that he had made. The words that he kept repeating appeared to have been said to someone before. He repeated them again and again, and the presence around him became scarier. Soon, it surpassed a normal red specter. Could this man really be the ghost fetus? It's hidden behind this door. Chen Ge was not confident. He knew that his luck was not very good, but that was under normal circumstances. Under certain unusual circumstances, like when he was drawing prizes, he always had an inexplicable connection with specters and red specters. Yu Jian was unconscious and surrounded by layers of curses. Chen Ge had no way of getting him out. If he left him here alone, something bad might happen. After giving it some thought, Chen Ge took out the comic from his backpack. Whether the ghost fetus before him was real or fake, he decided to deal with him here and now. This time, when he was immersed in the world behind the door, his mental state had reached its limit. His eyes were bloodshot, and he was on the verge of collapse. It's time to end this. Flipping through the comic, Chen Ge called out the names of his employees. The blood-stained comic seemed to be surging with blood, and the pungent smell of blood suppressed the strong stench in the room. The red specter and the most venomous curse clashed inside the office. Two forces that were terrifying in the eyes of a normal person clashed. Du Ming's mother is much stronger than the woman in Wu Sheng's world. They are not even on the same level. There was no way to hide in the narrow space. As blood-red figures appeared one after another, this strange world was dyed in a ghastly shade of red. Blood flowed, and a pair of pale hands pierced through the cage weaved by the curses to pull Yu Jian out. Shu Yin, bye, stay beside me. Don't go over for now. After calling for 10 whole days, the barrier of the world behind the door was finally broken. With the appearance of the employees, this fake world could not exist for much longer. The scenario that was weaved from the memories of Chen Ge, the ghost fetus, and Yu Jian was about to collapse. Chen Ge wanted to personally destroy this dream of his. The two of you should go and test it out. Chen Ge summoned the red specter in the costume that he had found at the futuristic theme park and the red specter from Zhongyuan apartments. They had been trapped for a long time, and the first thing they saw was the ghost fetus that was turning darker. The rapidly rising presence gave the two red specters a lot of pressure. The snail behind Zhang Ming's door has a sturdy shell, and it took 10 red specters to work together to open it. The faceless woman behind Wu Sheng's door can control blood and multitask. The ghost fetus behind Fang Yu's door is very calm. He can control curses and set up traps. The ghost fetus behind each door has a different power. This guy's power is unknown, so I should use the red specter in the costume and the red specter to test him out. Chen Ge was very careful. He had been behind the door for so long, and he would not allow anything to go wrong at the last moment. Xiao Bu, watch for the right moment and be ready to make your move. Of the red specters around Chen Ge, the strongest was Xiao Bu. Ever since the girl became the real door pusher in Liwan City, she had not shown her full power. All the red specters had shown up, and Chen Ge could only give them a few simple instructions before they made their move. The battle between the red specters was bloody and cruel. They were all entangled by deep resentment. Unless they were suppressed by absolute power, once they started fighting, it would be a battle to the death. No one would be able to pull them away from each other. Of course, a very rational red specter like Meng Nan was an exception. He was an exception. The red specter in the costume and the water ghost appeared before Du Ming's mother. They had no choice but to join the battle, they had no other choice. The red specter in the costume was fine. She hated the ghost fetus to begin with, and it was the ghost fetus who had forcefully taken over her altar. The red specter in the water ghost's mind even started to think about joining the enemy. This was completely different from what he had expected. Chen Ge, our promise doesn't include fighting with other red specters, right? He wanted to struggle. After all, the ghost fetus, disguised as Du Ming's mother, gave him a very dangerous feeling. This is our promise. Didn't you ask me to help you find the door pusher at Zhongyuan apartments? The ghost fetus is the door pusher. After you kill him, you will be the owner of that door. Chen Ge was not lying. At least, he did not think he had lied. Our promise is to kill the door pusher together. The red specter was very powerful in the water, but he could not use his power here. Soon, his body was scratched by the curse. Help me, help me. Quote. What others give is charity, what you fight for is dignity. Chen Ge kept his eyes on the red specter. The threads of the curse crawled into the red specter's body through the wound and crawled toward his heart. He slowly lost his mind, and all the negative emotions in his heart were triggered. If this continued, he would become a collection of resentment that could not be communicated with. Other than hatred, and killing, there was no other emotion. The ghost fetus behind this door can use curses to corrupt people's spirits. To corrupt a red specter's heart. Quote. The red specter's heart was the foundation of their existence, the crystallization of their lingering spirits. Chen Ge did not expect the ghost fetus, curse to be so scary. End this quickly. Let's attack together. Be careful not to get hurt. Quote. After understanding the ghost fetus, power, Chen Ge did not dare hold back anymore. The ghost fetus, curse was too scary. With this kind of power, if the ghost fetus could survive the initial period, when the curse took effect, Chen Ge's group would lose their advantage in numbers. A red specter whose heart was corrupted would tear apart everything before him, be it his former colleagues or the owner of the haunted house, Chen Ge. Now that I've tested out the ghost fetus, power, the more I understand him, the scarier I find him. All the red specters did not hide their power. They attacked with full power. The ghost fetus, body was damaged instantly. He was no longer human, but he did not disappear. The black threads that were hidden behind the door kept surging into his body to help him recover. The world behind Yu Jian's door is helping him. Chen Ge knew that he could not waste any more time. He grabbed the boy on the ground by his shoulders. Yu Jian, can you hear me? Your persistence has paid off. I'm here to take you home. Quote. Wake up. The mother in your heart is a disguise made by the ghost fetus. She is not your real mother. Have you really given up on this world? Don't you want to see your teacher one more time? There are many people like her in this world. The ghost fetus has only shown you the darkest side, but in reality, it is because there is light that there is darkness. Quote. As if hearing the word, teacher, Yu Jian's eyes blinked. His brows slowly creased like he was dreaming about something bad. Yu Jian, if you really think you've found love, don't wallow behind the door. Don't make her sad. Use everything you have to change yourself. Chen Ge picked Yu Jian up and punched him in the face. Cheer up. Perhaps she is waiting for you as well. Quote. The sunken flesh slowly recovered. Yu Jian's eyelids fluttered, and then he slowly opened his eyes. Chen Ge picked up the phone from the ground and showed the picture on the screen to Yu Jian. Try to live on and walk away from the past. If there is a chance, go and see her. The confused eyes slowly regained focus. The things that had happened in the past surfaced in his mind. Yu Jian gripped the phone with both hands, and his expression was no longer numb. Chen Ge removed his jacket and placed it on Yu Jian. The boy had a strong sense of pride, but he did not wear anything behind the door. This probably represented one of his past psychological states. The ghost fetus attached himself to you and kept leading you toward the abyss. He blocked out all the light and only allowed you to see darkness and despair. Thankfully, you ran into that teacher in the end. Teacher Zhang, there was light at the bottom of Yu Jian's eyes. The connection between the ghost fetus and the world behind the door was weakening. He could no longer gain power from Yu Jian's world. Yu Jian, the ghost fetus, body was broken, and he was covered in wounds. He screamed, when you were at your loneliest, it was me who accompanied you. When your father abandoned you and your mother blamed you, it was me who was by your side. When the adults were arguing and fighting to get rid of love, it was me who was protecting you. Quote. A shrill voice came out from the ghost fetus' lips. He stopped pretending to be Du Ming's mother and started to talk about the things that had happened when he was attached to Yu Jian. Yu Jian appeared to be an illegitimate child. His mother fell in love with a married man. The argument between his parents, the gossip among the neighbors, and many other reasons caused Yu Jian's understanding of love to be distorted. Combined with the ghost fetus, purposeful guidance, Yu Jian slowly lost the ability to love. He was not protecting you. He just wanted to turn you into his tool, a machine that did not understand love. Chen Ge shielded Yu Jian behind him. If you still have the memory of the time after I entered the door, you can try to think about what love is and what you should do to truly love someone. The ghost fetus could no longer gain any help from Yu Jian's world behind the door. At that moment, he looked crazed and mad. Compared to the pain on his body, he was more annoyed by Yu Jian's attitude toward him. Seeing the ghost fetus' pitiful state, Yu Jian's lips tightened. He slowly raised his hand before slowly lowering it again. Yu Jian, Yu Jian. The ghost fetus' body was completely torn apart by the 10 red specters. All the black threads were swallowed by blood. The ghost fetus, who had disguised himself as Du Ming's mother, had disappeared, and all that was left was a child's hand-painted watercolor on the ground. The family of 3 stood happily before the haunted house. The sky was painted with a red sun, and the roadside was planted with green trees. The family was dressed in bright clothes, and the haunted house behind them was painted with different colors. This painting was painted by Chen Ge when he was young. His name was written crookedly next to it. This appeared to be a homework assignment given by the teacher at the time. It was to draw a painting with his family as the theme. This painting is in the ghost fetus' possession. The painting before him looked normal. Chen Ge studied it for a while before he noticed that something was off. There was an extra part in the painting that he did not remember. The family of 3 stood happily before the haunted house. The red sun shone down on the small person that represented Chen Ge, and someone had added a small shadow behind it. A shadow. Chen Ge placed the painting inside his backpack. He supported Yu Jian and walked out of the office with the accompaniment of the red specters. It's time to leave. The small town had changed beyond recognition. The beautiful dream had been shattered. Chen Ge looked out the window blankly like he was looking for someone. The streets were filled with cracks, and the rain was pouring. The world behind the door was about to collapse. In the end, Chen Ge still did not see the figure. He walked to the black iron door that led to the school's equipment room. Just as he was about to push open the iron door with the red specters, his phone suddenly rang. Without hesitation, Chen Ge answered the call. He placed the phone next to his ear and held his breath. Moments later, Zhang Ya's voice came from the other end of the phone. I promised you that I would tell you before I leave. Chen Ge. Where are you? Chen Ge grabbed the phone and ran to the window. I'm coming to find you. Without an umbrella, Chen Ge carried the backpack and the phone and rushed into the storm. He ran down the cracked streets. He passed through the world that was about to collapse before he finally saw the rather lonely figure at the junction of the small town. Zhang Ya stood by the roadside holding a red umbrella. The phone in her hand had not been hung up. Gasping for air, Chen Ge's whole body was soaked by the rain. I did not want to call you because I was afraid that I might disturb your study, but when I really made up my mind to leave, I couldn't control myself. Zhang Ya raised the red umbrella over Chen Ge's head and stood quietly before him. Can you forgive me for my selfishness? The gray town started to tilt, and the black cracks tore at the whole world. Chen Ge did not answer Zhang Ya's question. This was the first time that he had looked at Zhang Ya at such a close distance. If that incident at the dance studio did not happen, if we were not teacher and student, if you were just Zhang Ya and I was just Chen Ge, how wonderful would that be? Hearing Chen Ge's words, Zhang Ya did not say anything. She took another step forward, stood on her tiptoes, and leaned lightly against Chen Ge. Raising her hands, Zhang Ya whispered into Chen Ge's ear, "Hug me tight." Under the red umbrella, before Chen Ge's arms landed, Zhang Ya's body had already faded away. The red umbrella fell to the ground. There was nothing in Chen Ge's arms, and he stood silently in the rain. The world behind the door collapsed. The red specter led Yu Jian and Chen Ge to the iron door and pushed it open together. Just as they left the world behind the door, several drops of red rain fell on Chen Ge's backpack. They seeped into it and dyed Zhang Ya's book red. Stepping out from the iron door, the world spun, and Chen Ge collapsed inside Yu Jian's bedroom. His eyes were red. Without caring about anything else, he opened the backpack and took out Zhang Ya's bedtime story. Flipping through the pages, Chen Ge flipped to the last page. X year X month X day, I had a dream. I dreamt that I became a teacher, and he became my student. I dreamt that I shared the same umbrella with him to go home. I dreamt that we waited at the bus stop together. I dreamt that we cooked together and lived together. I also dreamt that I hugged him, and he hugged me back tightly. The last page of the book, which was filled with stories of cruelty and murder, was actually a warm dream. His fingers caressed the handwriting on the book, and tiredness washed over him like a wave. Chen Ge hugged the book, closed his bloodshot eyes, and collapsed to the ground. In the 10 days and nights behind the door, he had been under a lot of psychological pressure, and he was on the verge of a breakdown. After leaving Yu Jian's world, he could not hold on any longer. The backpack fell beside him, and Chen Ge fell asleep just like that. On the single bed next to him, Yu Jian woke up with a start. Wrapped in a thin blanket, Yu Jian glanced at Chen Ge and slowly buried his head in his chest. Yu Jian's mother, who stood at the door, saw this. She had no idea what had happened inside the room. She only felt that before Chen Ge came in, only Yu Jian was abnormal, but after Chen Ge's treatment, both of them appeared to have gone crazy. What should I do now? Yu Jian's mother entered the room, wanting to drag Chen Ge away. She tried, but she realized that she could not move Chen Ge at all, so she gave up. She walked out of the bedroom with a sad face, and behind her, many blood-red shadows appeared. If she had done something bad earlier, the whole building would have been destroyed. At 8 in the morning, Chen Ge was woken up by the alarm on his phone. The blood in his eyes had not completely disappeared. Holding his head that was still hurting, Chen Ge glanced out the window. The sunlight shone into the bedroom through the gap between the curtains, and Yu Jian, who was dressed neatly, was sitting before the study table. "You're awake." Hearing the sound, Yu Jian turned around. He was dressed neatly like he was ready to go out. "My head still hurts." Chen Ge picked up the backpack and put everything away. "You should still remember the dream from last night, right?" Yu Jian shook his head. "I don't remember it clearly, but I have not forgotten what you told me." He handed the few sheets of paper that he had arranged on the table to Chen Ge. "All my crimes are written on them. I will go meet Mr. Zhang and then turn myself in at the police station." The contents of the white paper were shocking, filled with malicious thoughts and despicable curses. Among them, there were 3 that were the most serious. The first incident was when he was very young. Under the encouragement of the ghost fetus, he almost poked the neighbor's child's eye blind. The second was when he ran away from home during middle school. He had completely given himself over to the ghost fetus and allowed the ghost fetus to complete the scheme of the 9 children. During this period, the ghost fetus had harmed many people, including Wu Jinpeng's younger brother's hand, which had been injured by the fan. When the ghost fetus tried to take away Wu Sheng's voice, Wu Kun, who was much less intelligent than a normal person, was not afraid of the ghost fetus. He tried his best to stop it, but unfortunately, he was no match for the ghost fetus. The third thing was related to Yu Jian's biological father. If not for the encounter with that teacher, Yu Jian would have been forced onto a path of no return by the ghost fetus. I knew he was using me. From the very beginning, I knew that he would not choose me. Yu Jian looked at the paper that was filled with words in Chen Ge's hands. "I am the same kind of person as him. He hates people like us from the bottom of his heart. His deepest hatred comes from himself." Yu Jian was the living person who had spent the longest time with the ghost fetus, so he should be one of the people who understood the ghost fetus the best. "Since you know the ghost fetus is using you, why did you still help him?" This was something that Chen Ge could not understand. "Like I said, I am the same kind of person as him." For a moment, I felt like he was my only friend. Yu Jian's body was very weak. He took back the few pieces of paper and pulled back the bedroom curtain. The sun shone into the bedroom. Yu Jian looked at the scenery outside the window. "Actually, this world is quite beautiful." Putting the few pieces of paper into his bag, Yu Jian turned his back to the sun, opened the bedroom door, and walked out from this small room that had taken care of him. In the corridor, when Yu Jian's mother saw Yu Jian walk out from the bedroom, her face was filled with disbelief. "Son, I wish to go out for a walk." Okay. The front door opened, and Yu Jian left with his bag. Yu Jian's mother rushed into the bedroom and looked at Chen Ge in shock. How did you do that? Yu Jian's illness seems to have improved a lot. He volunteered to go out for a walk. That is unbelievable. Quote. Yu Jian was not sick to begin with. He just did not know how to love this world and the people around him. Chen Ge stared at Yu Jian's mother. If you do not want Yu Jian to return to how he used to be, then sit down and talk to me. This time, please do not lie or hide anything. Through the conversation, what the ghost fetus said behind the door was verified. Yu Jian was indeed an illegitimate child. His father wanted to get rid of the mother and son duo, and his mother used him as a tool to blackmail them. He did not know what love was when he was young, and he was used by the ghost fetus. The evil and ugliness were magnified, and it caused his mind to become twisted. Yu Jian's mother felt guilty toward Yu Jian. She took good care of Yu Jian, but at the same time, she wanted to raise Yu Jian to become someone better than his father, so she was very strict with him. There was no social interaction or entertainment. As long as he was good at his studies, that was enough. After a deeper conversation, Chen Ge also discovered a deeper problem. Yu Jian's mother had known about Yu Jian's psychological problems a long time ago, but after Yu Jian had done something dangerous to others several times, she did not realize the seriousness of the problem. Instead, she tried to cover up for him, causing Yu Jian to miss the opportunity to be corrected again and again. It is not entirely Yu Jian's fault that he became like this. Chen Ge picked up his backpack. If there is a chance, you'd better go and meet the teacher who was fired because of Yu Jian. She is the real person who saved Yu Jian. After getting to the bottom of everything, Chen Ge prepared to leave. Wait a minute. Yu Jian's mother stopped Chen Ge. Even though I do not know what method you used, you have indeed helped Yu Jian to open up the knot in his heart. How much does this treatment cost? If Yu Jian locks himself in his room again in the future, how am I supposed to contact you? Quote. I do not rely on this to earn money. Chen Ge stood in the bedroom and looked around. In the end, he picked up a mud statuette from Yu Jian's study table. I'll take this mud statuette as payment. He placed the mud statuette with Yu Jian's name inside his backpack and left Yu Jian's home. Taking the elevator to the first floor, Chen Ge walked into the safety corridor. He squatted on the ground to look at his own shadow. When will you wake up? I have many questions that I wish to ask you. Taking out the mud statuette with Yu Jian's name from his backpack, Chen Ge placed it on his own shadow. Black and red blood leaked out from the statuette and seeped into the shadow. An oppressive presence was slowly awakening. After I find all the other mud statuettes, you should be able to wake up, right? Chen Ge had not forgotten what had happened behind the door. He had truly come to understand the girl in his shadow. Carrying the backpack, Chen Ge hurried to New Century Park before it opened for business. He did not say anything. Once he reached the door, he helped his employees with their makeup and prepared for business. The haunted house only started to receive visitors after a delay of 10 minutes. Chen Ge felt bad about this. He personally ran to the line of visitors and handed them some water and some small gifts from New Century Park. Chen Ge was very famous on the internet. Many visitors started to take pictures of him when they saw him. In fact, it caused quite a commotion. If one day, my haunted house really can't run anymore, I can consider becoming an internet celebrity. The haunted house opened without any accidents. The visitors entered in an orderly manner, and Chen Ge sighed in relief. After bidding farewell to Shu Shu, he carried the backpack and left New Century Park alone. This boss of mine sure has no sense of presence. There was not much time left until the ghost fetus, birth. Chen Ge called Li Zheng. After asking for Zhen Zhen's location, he hailed a cab to find him. In the cab, Chen Ge took out the black phone. There were indeed unread messages on it. I should have received this message when I exited the door. Chen Ge swiped the screen and clicked open the unread messages. 4-star trial mission Ghost fetus has been completed 5 out of 9. The ghost fetus has lost the emotions of a living human, so he can no longer curse you through your loved ones. Lucky red specters favored. You do not have much time left. 4-star trial mission Ghost fetus has been completed 6 out of 9. The ghost fetus has lost his heart. His most precious thing has been stolen, and his power has been greatly reduced. Warning. Lucky red specters favored. You do not have much time left. Quote. Looking at the two messages on the black phone, Chen Ge was stunned. How is this possible? Last night, I only entered Yu Jian's world behind the door to help Yu Jian find the love that was taken from him. I only completed one mission. How come the ghost fetus, heart has disappeared? Quote. Frowning, Chen Ge's brain turned rapidly. His eyes glowed as he thought of a possibility. It was the non-smiler from the cursed hospital who stole the ghost fetus, heart. Chen Ge still remembered the child whose heart was taken away by the ghost fetus. At the time, Chen Ge had run into the non-smiler at his home, but he did not get into any conflict with the non-smiler. The non-smiler represents the cursed hospital. They also have their eyes on the ghost fetus. The child with the congenital heart disease is the child chosen by the ghost fetus. Last night, Chen Ge entered Yu Jian's world behind the door and took away the love that was taken away by the ghost fetus. On the same night, the non-smiler made his move on the child with the heart problem. They stole away the heart that was taken away by the ghost fetus. Why would the cursed hospital target the ghost fetus? What is their relationship with the ghost fetus? Quote. Chen Ge was reminded of something else. Every time he entered the world behind the door of the child chosen by the ghost fetus, a black iron door would appear behind him. The door appeared to be the door of a detention room. There were blood stains on it, and there was a faded smell of disinfectant. The world behind the door was weaved from the children's memory, but the black iron door was the ghost fetus' own memory. Could the black iron door be one of the doors inside the cursed hospital? Was the ghost fetus once imprisoned inside that hospital? Before this, Chen Ge had separated the ghost fetus from the cursed hospital, but now he suddenly realized that there might be some kind of connection between the ghost fetus and the cursed hospital. Evil is contagious. Who was the creator of evil in the first place? Chen Ge did not have a good impression of the cursed hospital. He wished that the ghost fetus would perish together with the hospital, but the problem was that the cursed hospital probably had the same idea as Chen Ge. They wanted Chen Ge and the ghost fetus to end up in mutual destruction, and then they would reap the rewards from the battle. Other than being careful of the ghost fetus, I also need to be careful of that hospital. Chen Ge was very calm. I used almost 10 red specters to kill Du Ming's mother, who was disguised as the ghost fetus. The fact that the cursed hospital was able to steal the ghost fetus' heart proves that they are no weaker than me. There might be a top red specter among them. Quote. Feeling anxious, Chen Ge kept urging the driver. 10 minutes later, he arrived at the police station. Inspector Li, where is Zhen Zhen? Can I see him? After all, no matter what, I'm still his savior. Quote. He's at the duty room. The child is very obedient. We all like him. Li Zheng was busy with other things, but when he saw Chen Ge, he stopped what he was doing. I'll take you to him. There's no hurry. I have something else to ask. Chen Ge walked to stand before Li Zheng. Earlier, I asked you to investigate the child with congenital heart disease. He passed away at the hospital last night. Li Zheng pulled out a document from the table. The child's name is Ni Xin. He suffered from congenital heart disease. It is a miracle that he managed to survive until now. Passed away. Last night. Chen Ge gritted his teeth. He was 80% sure that this was the doing of the non-smiler. A human life was lost just like that. He was so young, and he did not even have the chance to see the world. I should have gone earlier. Chen Ge blamed himself. The children chosen by the ghost fetus were all pitiful people, so Chen Ge had been trying his best to help them. When Chen Ge entered the world behind the door, he would find the power that the ghost fetus had taken away from the children and then return the power to the children, making them whole again. But other people, be it Ji Yu Ming or the non-smiler, did not care about the children's lives. They would do anything to obtain the lingering spirit of the ghost fetus. How are Ni Xin's parents? Yes, the parents are relatively stable, but there seems to be some problem with the attending doctor. He fainted after the surgery last night, and he still hasn't woken up. Chen Ge got the name of the attending doctor, and then with Li Zheng leading the way, he arrived at the duty room at the station. Before he arrived, Chen Ge could hear the laughter coming from inside the room. He pushed open the door, and a female officer was playing with Zhen Zhen. When he saw Chen Ge walk in, Zhen Zhen jumped down from the bed and hid behind the female officer. He appeared to be a little afraid of Chen Ge. This was something that no one expected. Putting down the backpack, Chen Ge walked to Zhen Zhen. You don't recognize me anymore. Zhen Zhen nodded, but then he shook his head. He seemed to see another shadow in Chen Ge. That shadow gave him a sense of familiarity, but at the same time, he felt unsettled. After a while, Zhen Zhen returned to normal. He held Chen Ge's hand and handed the candy on the table to Chen Ge. Zhen Zhen, I'm here to ask you something. Chen Ge took the candy that Zhen Zhen handed him. When you were held hostage by Ji Yu Ming, other than Lu Wen and Ni Xin, did you sense any other children? Chen Ge explained for a long time before Zhen Zhen understood what he meant, but Zhen Zhen did not seem to want to continue this topic. He hid behind the female officer again. Chen Ge, he is still a child, and he is receiving psychological treatment. Please do not remind him of those bad things. This was the first time that Chen Ge had met the female officer, but she called him by his name like they had known each other for a long time. To stop the tragedy from its source, I have to find the answer from Zhen Zhen. I was forced to do this. Chen Ge squatted down before Zhen Zhen. Zhen Zhen, if you sense the location of the other children, you have to tell me. I want to go and protect that child. The cursed hospital was also looking for the child chosen by the ghost fetus. If they found the child first, they would probably kill him directly. After more than 10 minutes, Zhen Zhen finally spoke. He hid behind the policewoman, and the smile on his face disappeared as he timidly said, "That strange uncle always says some strange things to me before I fall asleep. After listening to those words, I always have some dreams that have nothing to do with me. It's like I'm experiencing a strange life from someone else's point of view." Zhen Zhen did not express himself clearly, but Chen Ge could understand what he meant. This child shared the same origin as the ghost fetus, and he had the ghost fetus presence on him. With Jia Ming's help, he had the dreams of the other children chosen by the ghost fetus. Jia Ming and Bai Yi had relied on Zhen Zhen's ability to find Lu Wen. Other than Lu Wen and Ni Xin, I had another dream. The dream was pitch black, and I could not see anything. Zhen Zhen tried his best to remember. Pitch black in the dream. You could not see anything. Quote. Yes, it was a very uncomfortable feeling. Everything was pitch black, and my body was itchy like I wanted to scratch my skin. Just listening to Zhen Zhen's description, Chen Ge felt uncomfortable. Even if you can't see, your sense of smell and hearing should be fine. Did you smell anything strange? Did you hear anything special? Quote. Chen Ge was slowly guiding Zhen Zhen. The child thought for a while before saying, I could smell something rotten and hear the meowing of cats. Yes. It sounded like there were many cats in my room. Quote. A lot of cats. A blind man who adopts stray cats. This was the first image that appeared in Chen Ge's mind. Only the meows of cats. Is there no sound of anyone talking? Quote. There seems to be a man's voice. I think he called me little brother and said something else, but I can't hear it clearly because he's far away from me. Zhen Zhen told Chen Ge everything she knew. I think I understand. Chen Ge walked out from the duty room and took out his phone to record the useful information. There were two men in Zhen Zhen's dream. They should be brothers. The younger brother is blind and has many cats around him. Judging from the stench, the environment should be very bad. The elder brother stood far away from the younger brother while talking. Li Jung stood beside Chen Ge and watched as Chen Ge muttered to himself as he organized the information and recorded it down. A bitter smile unconsciously appeared on his face. It's really a waste of your talent not to be a police officer. Brother Zheng, can you do me another favor? After organizing the information, Chen Ge looked at Li Jung. If we don't find the blind man soon, his life might be in danger. One moment, he was talking to a child, and the next, he was talking about a murder case. The change of topic was so fast that even an experienced officer like Li Jung could not react. Life might be in danger. How did you deduce a murder case from a child's dream? I'm not questioning you, I just think it's a bit unbelievable. Quote. Intuition. Chen Ge did not want to go into detail. My intuition has always been accurate. I don't deny that, but the police force is limited, and I'm afraid we can't provide you with much help. Even though Li Jung said that it was difficult to help, when he returned to the office, he still opened the database that only the police could access. See if there are any local pet shops run by two brothers or organizations that adopt stray cats. The younger brother should be blind, so something bad must have happened to their family. There were many clues, but it was still very difficult to sift through all the information in one day. It was not until 2 p.m. that good news came from Li Jung. They had found a person that fit the criteria. Ying Chen, 22 years old, the manager of the local Zhujiang Love Cats Rescue website. He is a cat lover and has participated in many volunteer activities in Zhujiang. He has excellent grades at school and has no bad habits. Li Jung pointed at the computer screen. This is all public information on the internet, so what I'm doing shouldn't be against the rules. Chen Ge looked at the website called Love Kitty. The front page of the website was filled with all kinds of cute cats and posts from cat lovers. The most popular thing on the website was a stray cat rescue program, calling for people to not abandon their pets. There was an introduction of Ying Chen on the website and his picture. The man had a scholarly appearance, and his skin was fair. He gave a good first impression. He is quite impressive. His parents passed away early, and he and his brother lived with a relative. In the end, the relative only adopted them because they wanted to take over the family's house. They have always treated the two brothers badly. He did not complain and studied hard. When he was old enough to take care of his brother, he chased the relative away. In conclusion, he is a very bright and inspirational young man. Quote. Li Jung held the investigation report that he had compiled. The comments from the website users are also very good. They think he is like a child with light in his heart. In fact, many unmarried female users wanted to pursue him, but because he needed to take care of his brother, he was afraid that he would be a burden to the women, so he rejected them politely. Based on what you said, he is not a bad person. Chen Ge first looked through the whole website, and he did not find anything out of place. Then, he clicked on Ying Chen's own homepage. The homepage had videos and pictures that Ying Chen had taken, and there were articles that he had written himself. Most of them were about his life with his brother and the stray cats. All of his videos and articles had a high viewership. He even had his own account on some video websites. The number of fans he had was not that high, but it was not that small either. The big brother is a person filled with love. Even though the little brother has a problem with his eyes, he will be taken good care of. Chen Ge clicked on the videos and watched them silently. Yes, to have a big brother like that, for the little brother, it is a blessing in disguise. Brother Jung, you do not understand what I mean. Chen Ge turned back to look at Li Jung. Do you still remember how Zhen Zhen described the dream? The surroundings were dark, and there was a horrible stench. You could not see anything, and your body was itchy. If the big brother was really taking care of the little brother, this would not have happened. Quote. But that is just a dream of Zhen Zhen's. For Li Jung, any suspicion needed evidence, and a dream could not be used as evidence. Dreams are a person's subconscious reaction. Most people will choose to run away when they run into something scary in their dreams, but some people will pick up a knife in their dreams. Different choices can reflect a person's mental state and psychological problems to a certain extent. Chen Ge did not even raise his head as he continued to watch the videos. Do you people who operate haunted houses these days need to know so many things? Li Jung looked at Chen Ge, who was still watching one video after another. Now you are trying to find evidence from these videos that can prove that Ying Chen is not what he appears to be. These videos of his do not feel that there is anything wrong with them, but Chen Ge took out his phone and entered the official website of Zhujiang's local weather forecast. It contained the weather data for the whole year. He compared the weather data, and his expression slowly turned serious. Brother Jung, I have found the evidence. How did you find it so quickly? Li Jung was an experienced detective. He had watched some of the videos himself, and he did not notice any big problems. When I opened Ying Chen's homepage, I realized that many of his videos were about rescuing stray cats. The cats looked very pitiful, and they were very afraid of people, but after Ying Chen's treatment and care, the cats became healthy and beautiful, and they were not that afraid of strangers. This proves that his treatment is very effective, and it does not deviate from the purpose of their website. But did you notice that most of the stray cats that Ying Chen rescued were adult cats, and their body size was already fixed? What are you trying to say? Li Jung's many years of experience in criminal investigation gave him a bad feeling. I suspect that some of his videos might have been shot the other way around. Chen Ge stood before the computer and said in a low voice, he first filmed healthy and normal cats, and after he had enough material, he started to torture the cats. The pitiful appearance of the cats at the beginning of the video was actually the final appearance of the cats. Now that you think about it, isn't it very scary? Quote. I think it is also very scary that you can come up with something like this. Li Jung realized that Chen Ge was thinking from the perspective of the criminal. He was thankful that Chen Ge had not gone down the wrong path, or else he would have been a very difficult opponent to deal with. After I had the suspicion, I tried to find a way to prove it, but most of his videos were shot in the same setting. There was no calendar or clock in the room, and the curtains were drawn. The change in lighting was not obvious. The man was very meticulous, and he had blocked all the loopholes. Chen Ge clicked open a video that he had watched earlier. But in this video, he gave himself away. Listen closely. At the beginning of the video, you can hear the sound of rain and thunder outside. At this time, the cat looked very pitiful. One of its legs was unsteady, and its wounds were infected. Even its eyes had problems. The video was posted on the 26th of last month. In the video, he said that he had found the cat at the beginning of last month. When he first found the cat, he was shocked by how pitiful the cat looked. At the beginning of the video, he even condemned those who abandoned their pets. But I just logged into Zhejiang's official weather website to check. Last month, there was only heavy rain on the 24th. In other words, he recorded the pitiful state of the cat on the 24th, and when he posted the video on the 26th, the cat in the video had already returned to normal. There was no sign of injury at all. Do you think that is possible? Ying Chen was a meticulous person, but compared to Chen Ge, he was still far behind. Then, why did he do that? Not only did he torture the cats, he also posted the video for so many cat lovers to see. Quote. I feel like this is similar to some murderers. After committing the crime, they still return to the crime scene to take a look. They are enjoying that kind of perverted pleasure. Chen Ge continued to watch the video. Honestly, if not for the coincidental timing of the rain, it would have been very difficult to get anything on Ying Chen. Brother Zheng, this man might be a psychopath with an extremely dark heart. He is very good at disguising himself, and he is very clever. If we leave him alone, sooner or later, he will do something even scarier. Indeed, but I am more worried about his little brother now. Li Jung's expression turned serious. If he lives with this kind of brother, he might be hurt. That is why you said that his life might be in danger, right? Indeed. In any case, we need to find them as soon as possible. Chen Ge looked at the introduction of Ying Chen on the computer screen. The man had a blind younger brother called Ying Tong. Chen Ge found Ying Chen's contact number on the internet. He told Li Jung that he would go to Ying Chen's home to take a look the next morning. After leaving the police station, Chen Ge gave it some thought. Li Jung was already so busy, so it was better if he did not add more trouble to their lives. Getting into the taxi, Chen Ge called the number on the website directly. The phone rang 3 times before it was picked up. A man's voice came from the other end. Hello, this is Ying Chen. The number left on the website was used to discuss business, so Ying Chen's attitude was very good. Mr. Ying, I am the boss of a haunted house at New Century Park. I wish to place a long-term advertisement on your website. I wonder if you are interested. Chen Ge was experienced once he opened his mouth. We can discuss the price in person. I will not let you down. Sure, I have always thought theme parks and cute pets are a good match. Other than that, our website's user base is quite young, and many of them like to visit theme parks during holidays. The two parties agreed immediately. To make Ying Chen lower his guard, Chen Ge did not say that they would go to the man's home directly but had Ying Chen pick a restaurant that was close to his home. Half an hour later, Chen Ge arrived at the restaurant. He called Ying Chen again. Mr. Chen, I have already reserved the private room. A young man walked out from the restaurant. He was dressed simply and fashionably. He gave off a feeling of cleanliness and sunshine. Ying Chen. Chen Ge carried his backpack. Do you know me? When I heard about the haunted house at New Century Park, I knew it was you. I just did not expect you to come in person. Ying Chen kept up the pleasantries. One moment, he said that he was a fan of Chen Ge, and the next, he praised Chen Ge for being young and promising. He was so smooth that he did not look like a young man of 22. Chen Ge did not plan to place an advertisement on his website, so to show his sincerity, he offered a price that was 30% higher than the market price. The two chatted happily. Those who did not know better might have thought that they were old friends who had not seen each other for many years. The relationship between the two quickly grew closer. They drank one glass after another, and when the waiter was about to serve the last dish, Chen Ge accidentally bumped into the man, and the juice from the dish splashed on his shoulder. Ying Chen hurried over with a napkin. Chen Ge's face darkened instantly. I still need to meet a client later. What am I supposed to do now? The waiter kept apologizing, and in the end, Chen Ge had no other choice. He asked Ying Chen, brother, can I go to your house to borrow some clothes? The next client has already made an appointment. It is not appropriate for me to show up like this. Quote. Ying Chen hesitated before agreeing. No problem. The two paid the bill and entered the residential area next door. This place was very close to the old city, and its location was quite remote. There was basically no one in the residential area. The residential area that Ying Chen lived in was called Mingyuan. It used to be the most famous residential area in the old city. Those who lived there were all rich people. However, with the opening of the economy and the rapid development of Zhujiang, the old city had lost its population, and the number of people living there had dwindled. The once luxurious residential area now looked deserted and old. There was no security guard at the entrance, and the greenery in the residential area was poor. Walking through the residential area, one could smell a faded stench. This is the house that my parents bought. They were businessmen. If nothing had happened to them back then, I might be a rich second generation now. Ying Chen joked, but there was a bitterness in his voice. Behind the joke was his real thoughts. With Ying Chen leading the way, the two of them came to the deepest part of the residential area. My house is on the 7th floor. How about I go up to get you some clothes? You can just wait for me downstairs. Ying Chen did not really want Chen Ge to go to his house, so he came up with many excuses. It's fine. If you go up to get them, you'll have to come down later to deliver them to me. The white robe is too much of a hassle. Chen Ge ignored him and walked down the stairs. His nostrils twitched. The faded stench seemed to have thickened. Looking around, Chen Ge noticed that there was an elevator installed in the corridor, but it was an old-fashioned elevator from many years ago. Mingyuan was the only residential area in the old city that had an elevator. It used to have its day, but now, most of the people who are capable have moved away. Ying Chen pointed at the elevator. Do not take it. The elevator often breaks down, and it occasionally makes a loud noise. It's quite scary. With Ying Chen's insistence, he and Chen Ge walked up the stairs to the 7th floor. The whole building gave Chen Ge a bad feeling. It was old and unhygienic. He could not hear any sound, and he could not feel any human presence. Living in a place like this would be very depressing. My house is a bit messy. I hope you don't mind. Ying Chen's house was close to the stairs. He took out the key and hesitated for a long time before he opened the door. The stench in the air thickened. Chen Ge glanced into the house. Ying Chen's house was big, but the decoration was old. Many of the furniture was scratched and broken. I prefer cats. My family has adopted quite a few stray cats. These are all their handiwork, Ying Chen said helplessly. Take a seat. I will go and find some clothes for you. After entering the house, Chen Ge subconsciously rubbed his nose with his fingers. The sofa, the floor, and the dining table were covered in cat fur, but the strange thing was that there was not a single cat in the house, nor could he hear a cat's meow. The stench did not come from the cats. This smell is very similar to the stench in the old city. I smelled it when I entered Yu Jian's room, but when I came out from behind Yu Jian's door, the stench disappeared. Chen Ge had smelled that strange stench in many places, but he couldn't tell what it was. All he knew was that the stench had something to do with the door. While Ying Chen went to grab the clothes, Chen Ge used the time to look around. There was very little furniture in the house, and the decorations were simple. There were 5 rooms in total, and 4 of them had their doors tightly shut. After a while, Ying Chen walked out from the bedroom. He was holding a set of his own clothes. What do you think of this? It's more formal, and it matches your pants. Quote. Thank you. You've helped me a lot this time. Chen Ge looked very happy. Can I borrow the bathroom? The first room at the door. Ying Chen was quite happy to be able to help Chen Ge. From how he saw it, this deal was already in the bag. Entering the bathroom, Chen Ge closed the door. He took out the comic from his backpack and summoned Meng Nan. You and Tong Tong should hide here for now. Find a chance to send Tong Tong into his phone. Other than that, I will come over before midnight. When that time comes, help me open the door, Chen Ge said softly. So, you want me to be the mole? Of all the red specters, you are the smartest. Only you can do this job. Chen Ge kept praising Meng Nan, and the latter finally agreed. After washing his face, Chen Ge walked out from the bathroom. Ying Chen, thank you so much for your help this time. I will go back and prepare the contract. How about we sign it tomorrow? Sure. Ying Chen was a man who loved money more than anything. It was unclear whether he was pretending or he really valued money as much as his life. It's so comfortable to work with straightforward people. Since I'm here today, let's just go through the process. Chen Ge asked Ying Chen many questions, and most of them were related to the website. It was not until the end that he brought up Ying Chen's younger brother. I heard you have a younger brother. What happened to the boy's eyes? I know a few excellent ophthalmologists. If you need anything, just give me a call. Quote. My brother's eyes weren't born blind. He got an eye disease when he was 3 or 4 years old, and his condition got worse and worse. A big part of the reason I worked so hard to earn money was to treat his eyes. The brotherhood between you two sure is touching. Chen Ge put down the backpack. The earlier the eye disease is treated, the better. Can I see your little brother? Chen Ge's request was rather sudden, but Ying Chen did not think too much of it. After some hesitation, he stood up and walked to the room next to the bathroom. Chen Ge, what are you doing? Quote. I'm sleeping. A very soft voice came from inside the room. Then go to sleep. I won't disturb you anymore. Ying Chen opened his arms and looked at Chen Ge apologetically. The boy is sleeping. I'm so sorry. It's fine, it's fine. Chen Ge might have said that, but his heart was already filled with suspicion. When Ying Chen asked Ying Tong what he was doing, Ying Tong's answer in the room was that he was sleeping. It was as if they had discussed this beforehand. If Ying Tong was really sleeping, he would have paused for a while before answering, and there was no hint of drowsiness in Ying Tong's voice. Ying Tong appeared to be very afraid of his big brother. There was some kind of secret between the two brothers. All right, then I won't disturb you anymore. Tomorrow morning at 9 a.m., I will come with the contract. Brother Chen, take care. The door closed. Ying Chen and Chen Ge's expressions turned cold at the same time. Chen Ge stood at the door and did not leave. Instead, he leaned against the door to listen. Soon, the sound of the bedroom door opening came from inside the room, and then there was the sound of a child crying. This guy is really rotten to the core. Without any concrete evidence, Chen Ge did not act recklessly. Meng Nan and Tong Tong were inside the room. If something bad really happened, they would definitely stop it. Standing alone in the corridor, Chen Ge glanced at the stairwell and the elevator next to him before leaving through the corridor. If Ying Tong is the child chosen by the ghost fetus, then this door has to be hellish difficulty. Zhang Ming has lost his hearing, so I cannot hear the voices of the ghosts behind his door. Fang Yu's memory is very poor, and my memory behind her door is slowly disappearing. Based on that, my vision must be limited behind Ying Tong's door as well. The biggest possibility is that the ghosts are right beside me, but I cannot see them. Vision was very important for a normal person. For someone who was used to seeing the world with their eyes, being suddenly trapped inside a dark maze would be very uncomfortable. Zhang Ye has not woken up yet. This door is very dangerous for me. For safety's sake, I'd better bring the tunnel lady's son with me. If not for the lack of time, Chen Ge would have brought the well woman from Coffin Village with him. After leaving Ming Yuan, Chen Ge waited until night fell before he went to White Dragon Cave Tunnel. He found the tunnel lady's son deep inside the tunnel. They had made a deal earlier, and the tunnel lady's son did not go back on his word. However, just as Chen Ge was about to pull the tunnel lady's son into the comic, something unexpected happened. Perhaps because there was a door inside his body, Yan Danian's comic was unable to pull him inside. This was the first time that Chen Ge had encountered something like that. The two discussed for a long time. The tunnel lady's son wanted to hide inside Chen Ge's shadow, but he stopped next to Chen Ge's shadow for a long time. Then, for some reason, he voluntarily gave up on that idea. They tried many different methods. In the end, the tunnel lady's son opened his almost 2-meter-long legs and wrapped them around Chen Ge from behind. This kind of restraint from the red specter spider was not a good feeling. Chen Ge's body was cold, and his body temperature was dropping. The whole process lasted for about 1 minute. The tunnel lady's son disappeared, and an incredibly large and scary tattoo of a spider's face appeared on Chen Ge's entire back and legs. This tattoo could only be seen in the shadows, and it was very scary. His body was cold, and Chen Ge hated this feeling. However, finding the ghost fetus was the most important thing, so he did not mind it too much. At 11 p.m., Chen Ge returned to Mingyuan Apartments at the Old City, but even at 11:30 p.m., he still had not received a message from Tong Tong. There won't be a problem, right? With the protection of a red specter like Meng Nan, the other party is just a normal person. Could it be that the non-smiler from the cursed hospital has come as well? Quote. The only people who could deduce that Ying Tong were Chen Ge and Li Zheng. Chen Ge believed that the chance of the non-smiler making a move was very small. For the sake of caution, Chen Ge entered the stairwell. He had just reached the 4th floor when his phone vibrated. Ying Chen had sent him a message. He is holding the tools and preparing to leave the house. It should be Tong Tong and Meng Nan who were controlling Ying Chen's phone. With their previous experience, this time, their cooperation was flawless. Ying Chen did not seem to notice anything at all. Leaving the house at 11:30 p.m. And he's holding the tools. Quote. After receiving the message, Chen Ge quickly hid in the middle of the floor to avoid running into Ying Chen. He kept his eyes on the stairwell. Not long after that, he saw Ying Chen, who was wearing a cap and carrying a large black bag, walk down the stairs. Could it be a dead body inside the bag? Based on the size, it looks more like a cat. Quote. Ying Chen's unusual action once again deepened the suspicion that Chen Ge had toward him. The ghost fetus door would appear punctually at midnight. Chen Ge did not care about anything else. He waited for Ying Chen to come down the stairs and ran to Ying Chen's door. The door was not locked from the inside. Chen Ge summoned Lao Zhou to open the door from inside and sneaked in. The lights were not on in the house, and it appeared cold and eerie. Chen Ge stood at the window and looked down the stairs. Ying Chen carried the black bag and walked out of the residential area. He entered an abandoned construction site. A body burial. Ying Chen would probably return soon, so Chen Ge did not waste any time. He and Lao Zhou quickly searched the house. The toilet and kitchen were normal, but the bottom layer of the fridge was stuffed with minced meat. The other rooms looked fine on the surface. Ying Chen's own bedroom was very clean. There was not a single strand of cat hair to be seen. This was completely different from the other rooms. Next to Ying Chen's bedroom was the workshop. Chen Ge had seen it on video before. Most of his videos were shot in this room. Next to the workshop was a locked room. Chen Ge had Lao Zhou go in to take a look. There were several stray cats tied up with ropes inside the room, and 2 of them were on the verge of death. The last room in the room was Ying Tong's bedroom. Chen Ge had Lao Zhou go in to investigate. After confirming that Ying Tong had fallen asleep, Chen Ge had Lao Zhou open the door from the inside. The moment the bedroom door was opened, the foul odor hit Chen Ge's nose. The stench in this room was even stronger than Yu Jian's room. Covering his nose and mouth, Chen Ge looked into the room. Ying Tong's bedroom was very small. The window was boarded up, and there were no light bulbs installed in the lamps. There were many colorful handprints on the wall, and there were many bloodied cotton swabs littering the floor. There was a radio and a music box on the table, and there were many strange-looking dolls. Even from the perspective of an adult, Chen Ge could see that the dolls looked very twisted and scary. They were not suitable for children. They would be more suitable to scare people inside a haunted house. Ying Tong did not notice Chen Ge come in. He was sleeping soundly, and he seemed to be tired. Chen Ge used his yin-yang vision and noticed some bruises on Ying Tong's body, but they were not serious. The boy does not seem to have a sense of security. When he sleeps, his body is always pressed against the wall. It was uncomfortable to sleep against the wall, but Ying Tong seemed to have gotten used to it. He curled up, and his arms were wrapped around a picture frame. Inside the frame was a picture of Ying Chen. The two brothers have such a good relationship. Ying Tong hugs his own brother's picture even when he sleeps. Quote. There were many questions in Chen Ge's heart. From how he saw it, Ying Tong was more afraid of his older brother than the love between family members. He studied it closely and realized that the size of the picture frame did not match. The picture appeared to have been shoved in later. As for where the original picture in the frame had gone, probably only Ying Chen knew. The bedroom was sealed, and it was isolated from the outside world. At first glance, there did not seem to be anything special about it. Ying Chen was about to return, but Chen Ge did not leave. He stood inside Ying Tong's bedroom, waiting for the door to appear. At midnight, a door that was completely covered in blood silently appeared next to Ying Tong's bed. The lock on the door trembled slightly, and black patterns appeared on the door. No one touched it, but the door appeared to open on its own. The sound of footsteps came from outside the room. The front door of the living room was pushed open. Ying Chen had returned. Carrying his backpack, Chen Ge did not hesitate. He pushed open the blood door and stepped into it. His body seemed to sink into quicksand, and he continued to sink. Chen Ge struggled with all his might. The air in his lungs decreased, and the feeling of suffocation intensified. Just when he thought he was going to die, he suddenly opened his eyes. Every time he entered the ghost fetus door, it felt like he was walking on the edge of life and death. Before Chen Ge could catch his breath, his expression changed again. His surroundings were shrouded in darkness. He could not see any light. The world behind the door appeared to be covered by a large black curtain, and it felt like he had fallen into an eternal night. Chen Ge stood where he was without moving. The world behind the ghost fetus door became more and more dangerous and strange. He could not afford to be careless. For more thrilling fanfiction stories like this, check out my channel Fanfic Audiobook. Dive into epic adventures, mysterious realms, and legendary journeys brought to life through immersive storytelling. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more amazing audiobooks.